Wow, man. You know, I know our show is completely relevant now. We started talking about this A.J. Brown potentially moving him. Like, I was just talking to Tone. Tone and I said, I think we kind of brought it up around the playoff game when he scrubbed his social media. Hey, by the way, and I think it's important so that this lands here, that nobody's talking about moving A.J. Brown because he sucks. He's a bad guy. He's a poor leader. Nobody's talking about that. I was listening to some of the radio shows today, and they were talking and broaching this subject here. Like, oh, the guy says a couple things. He's a bad. Nobody's saying that here. He's got 3,000 yards in 2 years. This is about improving your roster like Green Bay did. Or like Kansas City did. You're not good. And you've got a great wideout. So I heard people saying trading A.J. Brown's crazy. And I actually heard somebody say, let's get another wide receiver for Jalen. Well, what the fuck are you paying him $50 million for then? How much more does a kid need? The more you add to the offense, the more you show me you don't believe in your quarterback. I mean, you're going to have eventually $90 million invested in three guys, the way you guys talk. Now follow me again here. Did Green Bay get better trading Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers? Did they or did they not get better? Hey, Calvin, those guys on IP got the topic from me because I'm the first guy to broach trading A.J. Brown. And it was brought up on the show with Kay Adams, and I love Kay. Her and I are friends. And he addressed it. By the way, he doesn't have to worry. Guy has 200 some odd catches, and he's got 3,000 yards in 2 years. I wouldn't be worried about shit either. He's a great football player. He's a great football player. And I said this, okay? Listen, this is about the betterment of the roster. You're not a good football team right now. You're top heavy when it comes to your salary cap and when it comes to your roster. Got a good offense, good talented people there, and you got a horseshit defense. You're not going to win dick with that. Nothing. Okay? I never said keep AJ. To me, dude, Flex, complete lie. I'm the one that fucking brought it up. I'm saying, hey, nobody is safe except the quarterback. Everyone else, I could give a shit. You could trade anybody. I've never said that about a player. The only guy that you have to keep is your quarterback. All good, dude. Hey, whatever. Sit back and take a lap. I'm going to debate this. And by the way, let's put this out there. Where are we going with the cap and what it's being projected at? The salary cap is going to be projected, according to the NFL Players Association, this coming year at $240 million. Last year, it was $224.8. And it's being projected at $240. And starting on March 17th, you want to start paying three guys $120 million. Now, Jalen's cap hits are team-friendly, but I'm talking about salary here. And you really think that owner is going to sit around and pay $500 or $400 million in player salaries when they don't believe in half the positions on defense? You're going to have three guys making $120 million eventually if all you guys want to keep Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts together in the huddle. That's $120. That's $120 million. And Patrick Mahomes has the cheapest running back room and the cheapest quarterback room when it comes to wide receivers in the league. That's why you pay that guy $50 million. And that's why I ain't paying Dak $50 million. You think I'm paying Dak $55 million to give me that result and pay him in Mahomes' league? No way. No way. I'd rather start over. He's not worth it. Eventually, you got to get to a point, and I don't want to hear that stupid shit about market value. You got to have some common sense. Are you really going to pay $59 million for Dak Prescott this coming year when he's delivered a 2-win postseason record and he's 2-5 in the postseason? Really? Not me. Not when I see a guy in San Francisco making $870,000 a year. That ain't working for me. I'd rather build my roster up, have a really good quarterback, and go forward. I'd rather put Kirk Cousins on my team for $30 million and build my team up around Kirk than sit there and spend money after money on a guy like Kyler Murray or a guy like what we're talking with Dak here. Absolutely not happening. When do you get to a point when you go, well, that ain't working? You know, Jalen Hurts is going to get to that point. How much more talent do you want around the kid before the kid has to say, hey, he's not delivering? Jesus Christ, you got the best offensive group in the league. And you haven't won a Super Bowl yet. What else do you want? Honest to God, you got the best wide receiving core, a top 5 tight end, a top 3 running game with your offensive line. You got a 1,000-yard running back. What else do you want to give them? I mean, you got to get to a point when you're an organization that you do this. I'm not spending $50 million on that. Don't you get it? Brock Purdy is changing the game. Would you rather build the roster up or pay for the quarterback? The quarterback's the needle in the haystack. Because when I look at Brock Purdy, I see Jimmy Garoppolo. I see Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't see anybody else. And Jimmy Garoppolo has taken a team to a Super Bowl, has been to a Pro Bowl, and it never costed me $50 million. Don't you get to, fight. You guys are right. There's only one Patrick Mahomes. What makes you think you have a Patrick Mahomes when you're constantly talking to me about, I'm going to keep AJ? For what? AJ Brown doesn't win you a Super Bowl. Your quarterback does. How freaking dumb when you listen to people going, I'm not trading AJ Brown. For what? Well, for what? Okay. What's he bringing you? A lot of stats? A lot of yards? He's bringing you nowhere. You know why? You don't have a football team because you don't have a complete team. They robbed the defensive side of the ball to pay the quarterback and the wideout and the tight end and the O-line. And you know how that's a fact? Look at the money you spend. Look at the lack of money you spend. And on top of that, you got no return on investment in your corners. It's been a complete financial disaster for the Eagles this year. Completely disastrous financially. Corners suck, no return. You robbed your defense at linebacker, and in the second, dude, your secondary blows. You know, there were actually people in here and on my network telling me that we had a top flight defense and our defense was as good as the Niners. Do you remember that conversation with all your dumbass posting of 10-1? I said, you're not even in the room with them. You're not even in the room with them. Not even in the room. Oh, no, we're 10-1. I'm like, dude, you're not in the conversation with them. You said Jalen isn't in the same room as Mahomes. He's not in the same room. Who said he is? You're paying him like he is, but he ain't. How many quarterbacks are in Mahomes' league? Well, I always look at the guys with less talent on their team. Do you know that the Buffalo Bills are probably going to cut after June 1 Stephon Diggs to save $22 million? And they're going to draft a wideout because they know their quarterback can carry their team to another AFC East title. What does Jerry like to say? Hanging around the rim? Well, Allen will keep you around the rim. And remember, his path to the Super Bowl is unlike your path. You've got to go through Dak and who else? Purdy. When you're in the AFC, you got to go through Mahomes. It's like going through Brady. You got to go through Joe Burrow. You got to go through Lamar Jackson. These are all MVPs. These are not just dudes. The path in the AFC, if you're a quarterback, is much harder because you're playing top flight guys. In the NFC, you're playing Jared Goff, Dak Prescott, and Jalen Hurts, all overachievers. Good players, but not those guys. Burrow, we'll find out more about, and I agree with toning everybody's. Okay, you know, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon and a pretty good old line. Duke Tobin's going to have a lot to do this coming off season here. I already saw what he made a comment on T. Higgins. Hey, we'd like to have T. Higgins back, but the pie's only so big. He's right. Okay? Yeah, well, hey, PL, Lamar Jackson's going to win his second MVP award by the age of 26, and he plays in the AFC. Okay? Don't confuse yourself. Hey, Lamar Jackson passing the ball 47, 46 times, that's not a remedy. And I think they panicked when it came to Todd Monken and John Harbaugh in that game, and they were undisciplined. Lamar Jackson throwing the ball 47 times, that's not cutting it. Okay? Here's the problem that I have with the Eagles here as you move into your, you know, hang on. I'm gonna go to that 1 second. So you guys don't want to trade A.J. Brown. Tell me what you think Jalen Hurts' ceiling is. This ought to be interesting and entertaining. What's Jalen Hurts' ceiling? Have we seen the best of Jalen Hurts? I don't know. I've seen 3 different Jalen Hurts. 21, 22, 23. All 3 different. Up, down. 2021 is the first-year starter. You kind of balance that out. First-year starter. Now, again, I saw Jordan Love as a first-year starter. That guy was 10 times better as a first-year starter with not lesser talent. They had rookies on that team, too, at wideout. I saw Jordan Love in his first year starting. Like when Jalen, his first year starting, Jordan Love was 10 times the player. Jordan Love was 10 times the player. And I thought it was a rocky start, like Jalen had a rocky start, 2-5. Jordan Love, when I look at Jordan Love, I'm like, holy shit, I can't believe that guy threw for that many yards and that many touchdowns. We guys have never heard of at wideout. Okay? So, what's Jalen Hurts' ceiling? All right, Des, what's his ceiling? Mahomes? You think Jalen Hurts could become Patrick Mahomes and carry a team by himself? That would entitle this. You have Goddard and Quez Watkins as your offensive weapons. And DeAndre Swift. I'll give you this. To duplicate what they have going on in Kansas City, you get Quez Watkins, Dallas Goedert, and DeAndre Swift. You think he can carry a football team to a Super Bowl with those 3 guys? Seals, how many quarterbacks in the league can? I don't think very many can. So isn't it better to build the roster? Because unless you think that that guy has the ceiling of Patrick Mahomes, he'll never get there. And you'll be wasting your $50 million like they are in Arizona, like they are potentially in Cincinnati, like they are potentially in Los Angeles with Herbert, what they're eventually going to be wasting it down in Jacksonville. And for sure, they've wasted it in Dallas. When does it get to a point where you go, why am I throwing good money after bad money here? Why am I doing that? Doesn't it make more sense to build the roster instead of building up the quarterback salary? Unless you believe that he can carry the team, you should have no fear of dumping A.J. Brown. They did it in Kansas City. They didn't, believe it or not, it's kind of amazing that Matt LaFleur had that kind of faith in Jordan Love. It's actually incredible that he saw the insight and had the insight to see that because they moved off him. DeAndre Adams was the first $20 million a year guy at wideout. Seals, hear me out. I thought about it, the idea of trading Goddard instead of Brown. I've identified his replacement, Bowers from Georgia, in the draft, thinking, here's the problem, Marshall. Okay, Goddard's a fine ball player, and I really love the guy. He's one of my favorite Eagles. Here's the problem. He misses 25% of his season every year. With whatever. You think you're going to get top-flight quality first-round money or picks for Dallas Goedert? I think the most you could get for Dallas Goedert would be a 3. Is that enough to build my defense back up to being respectable? Your defense is not respectable. It's actually a laughingstock. You were the worst defense at the end of the season in the entire league. The worst. You were 1-7. You couldn't stop anyone. And at the end of the day, when you watch that Buck game, no one wanted to tackle anyone. Okay? So what about the defense? Improve the defense. Not sure what that means. Okay? Can I get a second back for Hurts? Look, I got a lot of respect for Jeff Curd. I like him, and I like the work he does on Birds 365. I think the guy's high if he thinks that the number one priority on the Eagles is a running back. Shit, I'll get Freddie Pacheco in the 5th round or the 6th round. I'll get a functional guy. Do you know what's happening in the college game now? When you were in high school, you wanted to play running back because the running backs got paid. Okay? Now those running backs have become wide receivers. Wide receivers get paid. You're going to have so many good kids that are coming out of the college game this year because they've devalued the position that are traditionally going to be 1st and 2nd round guys you can get in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round. There's some quality kids that play the running back position in college football. But you know what? People look at the position and go, nah, man, I'd rather draft 2 wide receivers than a running back. You know why? Because play designers and play callers, what's the number one reason running backs have been de-emphasized in the league today? You know why? Today's play callers don't design plays around running game or around a running back. Look at the guy you just hired, Kellen Moore. You think he designs his offense around a running game? Offensive coordinators back in the day designed their offenses around a running game first, spread you out, and that's how they started. Now it's about spreading you out, getting the ball to the wide receivers, and throwing to the numbers. That's why all these young coordinators and young coaches are being hired. They're cheaper, and they're doing things more conventional, taking the advantage of the rules that they have in the game today. So I ask you again, what's Jalen Hurts' upside? Like, how about this? If Jalen Hurts doesn't win a Super Bowl in the next 3 years, are you really going to pay him $65 million? Why? Why would you do that? Why would you give Jalen Hurts another contract? I most definitely am not paying Dak Prescott $60 million. I would never do that. When I got to pay Micah Parsons, CeeDee Lamb, I've got to pay my left guard and my left tackle. That's the problem with the Cowboys. They have to jettison Amari Cooper. They have to get off Zeke Elliott. They have to get off all these players because they don't have a balanced cap. And that's where you are. You're in the same place the Cowboys are. Howie just does a better job at negotiating the contracts and does a better job on the cap hits. But he still does one thing that the Cowboys don't do, at least. He robs Peter to pay Paul. All the money's on the offensive side. That's why you have a bunch of trash cans over on defense. You have an unbalanced team. You have no Super Bowl window. Who in their right mind thinks that the Eagles are a Super Bowl team right now with that shitbox defense? How in the world would you think that, common sense-wise? Honest to God, how would you think that when you watch your team get run over? Not trading Hurts. I got Hurts on a great cap deal. Hey, by the way, the $50 million, I don't give a shit about. I care that Howie did a great job on the cap hits. However, you still got to tell the owner you're paying him $50 million annually starting March 18th. And you want to pay two wideouts $40 million combined? You got two tackles that are making $30 million combined? Inside of 5 players, you have $120 million. And the cap is only going to be $240. How are you building your team? How are you paying Landon Dickerson? How are you finding linebackers? How are you paying for your draft choices? How are you going to pay for the draft and their signing bonuses? Where are you getting this money from? Oh, you're going to rob the defense again, and you're going to have a mercenary defense every other year. That's where you are. So ask yourself this. Are you really going to give Jalen Hurts a second contract? Tell me what you think his ceiling is. Dude, it's got to get to a point. And every time, and I heard Tone say it, and he's right. Well, how we figuring a way out to keep two wideouts like they have in Seattle, and you go nowhere with them. It defeats the purpose. When you have corners and no linebackers and no depth at edge, how are you making sense of that? You see, people look at players and not the roster. That shows me many of you don't know what you're looking at with football and how you build a championship team. You have no idea. It's not about all pros on your team. Look at Kansas City. It's a great example of having a generational quarterback and really good players, not spectacular players. Chris Jones, Travis Kelce, those are spectacular. The rest of them are really good up-and-coming players. And they're not spending any money. Jesus Christ. Kudos to Andy and Brett Veach. That's how you build a championship football team. They took the model New England had, and they've now applied it in KC. Personally, I think that's how you do it. And you know who else did it? The 49ers did it. The 49ers, Kansas City, and when Belichick was in New England are complete polar opposites on how Howie Roseman builds a team. That comment a couple months ago that Jeff Kerr made, that they can't have sustainable success, front and center. All you have to do is look at the examples. Look at it. Do you know how many first-round draft choice wide receivers in the last 45 years? Game time. Thank you, my friend. Hey, Tone, am I right when I say this? That in the last 40 years, you know how many wide receivers the Green Bay Packers have taken in the first round? 1. Devontae Adams was a second rounder. They've taken 1 wideout in the last 40 years. You know why? They've had Favre and Rodgers. One. many wideouts have you drafted in the first round and bombed on them? Chris asked a great question because I turned it down. I could have went and worked for the Browns or the Raiders. Ask Amy Trask. They tried hiring me for a personnel and being in the personnel department with Ken Herrick. I turned it down. So, Chris, go ahead. I was offered a job with the Raiders and the Browns to be in the personnel department. I turned it down. I was going to go to work for Butch in Cleveland, my D-line coach, and Al Davis tried hiring me as a personnel guy. I turned it down. You know why I didn't want to go? Hey, you know why, Tone, I didn't want to do that? I didn't want to go to Fond du Lac, Wisconsin and watch a guy run a 40 in sub-zero weather. No disrespect to them guys, man. Those guys do a lot. And they travel a lot. And I mean, they're never home. I mean, sitting around watching a guy run in 40s outdoors, 20 degrees below zero, is not something I wanted to do because you wanted to work in your basement. Okay, you got me. True. Yeah. Okay, I'll take that one. Absolutely. Tell me again, back on track here. Let's stay on track here. What do you think is Hurts' ceiling? Okay? What do you believe his ceiling is? How many people think Jalen Hurts is going to win a Super Bowl before he leaves the Eagles? I think Jalen Hurts' best years are behind him already. You know why? Because money's going to play a factor in what they put around him. Not because he won't get better or because I don't trust the organization, one, to put good quality people around him. And secondly, I think they're cheap. And I think they're going to get cheaper once he starts getting paid. You don't really believe that an organization is going to pay for $100 million for 3 guys. 2022, I told you this last year, may be the best you ever saw him play. And may be the best year of his career. That could be his career year, dude. You don't want to look at it that way. The Eagles are. Great quarterbacks can elevate lesser talent around him or have great talent around a lesser quarterback prospect that can run our offense. Does that sound like Kansas City and San Francisco? Radman, there's a better chance of me finding a Brock Purdy than there is a Patrick Mahomes is my point. Everyone is looking for Patrick Mahomes. You're not going to find Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady. Get this. You know how hard it is to find them guys? Think about this for a second here. Okay? Think about this for a second. The National Football League talent evaluators couldn't find Brady. They couldn't find him. The greatest quarterback in NFL history couldn't find Brady. They couldn't find him. They didn't know what he looked like. You don't know what greatness looks like at that position. You assume you think you do. Nobody does, including me, anyone. You never know when you run into the 3rd round and you run into Montana. Or you run in the 3rd round and you run into Russell Wilson. Or you run into the 6th round and you run into Brady. Or you have a guy who was cut 5 times and an undrafted quarterback and Kurt Warner who goes to the Hall of Fame. You don't know what that thing looks like. But you think you have it in Hurts. Presumptuous. I'm not spending $50 million, $60 million and not building my team up and having to do what Howie does every 2 years. Rebuild it. I'd rather have the Brock Purdy model or the Brady model. I'd rather have a strong roster than have me constantly searching on fixing my cap, not spending money at certain situations. Do you know John Lynch has the autonomy and freedom for the next 2 years to spend money at any position he wants, to upgrade any position he feels like it because of Purdy? And I would guarantee you this, Brock Purdy, when his contract is up, 49ers will be a completely different football team. But maybe then Brock Purdy's going to have to do what Brady did. You know what that is? They're going to have to win Super Bowls with Amendola and Edelman, because your quarterback has to evolve into that, or he's not worth the $60 million either. Don't you see how this progression is with these quarterbacks? Let's go back into Patrick Mahomes' career. Who did he have early when he was going to Super Bowls and winning them too? He had Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Kareem Hunt. He had Shady McCoy. He had Orlando Brown. All of a sudden, what happened? Mahomes started morphing into this generational talent. Now he has nobodies at wideout, Kelce, and a 7th-round running back. And he's in his 2nd Super Bowl in 2 years, and he's in his 4th. That's where you pay $50 million. You don't pay $50 million like Dak Prescott. And I'm not saying Jalen Hurts yet, because Jalen's not there yet. Jalen hasn't even hit the first year of that thing, so we got to see how that plays out. But I'm making a point here. That could be Jalen's future here. Are you really going to spend $60 million on Dak Prescott if you're the Dallas Cowboys? Why? You've had 9 years of him. And just as Jerry says, to hang around the rim, that's not worth it when you're losing players in your roster every year. Quality players. Why in the world would you make Zach Martin, who's going to Canton, Ohio, hold out for an additional $6 million? It's because you know you got to pay Micah Parsons and CeeDee Lamb coming up. And Dak, if you're going to go there. Hey, dude, what do you think the ceiling is for Hurts? You think Jalen Hurts gets a 2nd contract in Philly like I asked you? Honestly. You think he's getting a 2nd contract at $60 million if he doesn't win a Super Bowl? Never. Never. If he doesn't win it, get this, Nick will be gone first and then he will. Because you can't keep doing this. Okay, I got $40 million in wideouts, $50 million tight end, $17 million tackles. I got a $20 million guard? Hey, by the way, how much you think you're going to have to pay Landon Dickerson? You know Landon Dickerson's going to make as much money as A.J. Brown? Hey, Tone, or whoever, what's the cap? What's the franchise tag number for guards? I think it's 20. Are you going to pay him $20 million too? So you got 20 there, and you got 20 on Devontae, right? 20 over on your A.J. Brown guy. 15 on your tight end. 17 on your left tackle and 18 on your right tackle. Dude, where are you playing this game? Monopoly? Where are you getting that money from? The model is in San Francisco. It's in San Francisco. Think about what that cap hit's going to be. Here, right here, projected caps. Look at this. So the corners are at 18, ends 19. Look at the linebackers. Top end is 20 if you want a top flight linebacker. 32 on the quarterback. Go down the list here so I can see the guards. Offensive line, there it is, 18-2. So you're going to pay Landon Dickerson $20 million. Hey, let me ask you this. Those are projected franchise tag numbers for 24, Tone's telling us. So let me ask you this. Everyone, check it out. Who are you going to pay 20 to? Devontae or Landon Dickerson? Who are you going to pay? Who are you going to pay $20 million to? Devontae? Be careful how you answer this. Are you paying $20 million to Devontae or Landon Dickerson? Who are you paying it to? Who are you going to pay that to? 20 over at AJ. 20 on Devontae. They don't work that way. Dude, eventually your quarterback's got to carry your team, doesn't he? You say Landon. I say Landon too. And if I want to keep Devontae, bye-bye, AJ. Because Landon protects my $50 million investment. Devontae doesn't. This is how you talk about building. Thanks, Tone. I appreciate that. Very cool. This is how you talk about common sense building a roster. Not just sit around talking shit about, well, hey, nobody trades a guy with 1,400 yards. Yeah, you do. You know, let me give you a moment in time, and we've had that conversation here. Coach Johnson says, I'm trading Herschel Walker away. And every one of you that say don't trade AJ, get this, Tone. Jimmy Johnson, he said it on the show, goes on his run. Herschel just come off a 1,500-yard year, had 800 yards receiving. He was the best player on the team. I was there. He was the best player on the team. He comes back from his run. He looks at Dave Wannstedt and says, I'm trading Walker. Everybody in the room was like, what? We can't do that, coach. He's our best player, man. We can't do that. He goes, I don't care what you say. Jimmy got a treasure chest of first rounders, second and third rounders. And he built a dynasty. But not in Philly, because we got to have our AJ. So dumb. This ain't about one man. It's bigger than one man, like Mike Tomlin says. This is about building a roster. Here, let me go into the second topic here. So do you want to go into a half build or a full rebuild? What is this offseason? A rebuild? A retool? A half rebuild? What are we calling this here? What is this called? Plugging holes? Well, it's more than that. See, you're not one or two. Last year, you were a coach away from winning the Super Bowl. This year, you're a coach and numerous players away from building a Super Bowl contender. Retool? You think replacing 9 guys on defense is a retool? I think that's a rebuild. Both coordinators out? That's a rebuild. Philosophy change on offense? Are you changing? Okay. Are you changing Jalen? Are you adding to Jalen? Are you less running game? What are you doing? And you're rebuilding an 11-win team. Sounds like a panic to me. Doesn't it? All brand new. And by the way, You're not just changing out coordinators. You're changing 8 different. You're getting a new D-line coach, a new linebacker coach, a new secondary coach, a new edge defensive end coach. You're getting like 5 or 6 new coaches. You're changing your entire coaching staff out, pretty much. I mean, you're changing out your entire coaching staff. Sills, have faith in the GM? I don't. When it comes to picking personnel, you can't name me anyone in the last 15 years that guy's drafted at linebacker or corner. That's good. They ignored defense in Philadelphia. You ignore it. Your attitude and how you approach it, you ignore. Hey, bend but don't break. Imagine telling somebody in Philly that. Hey, dude, live your life today. Bend but don't break. That's why it rubs you the wrong way. Because it's counter who you are. Hey, don't worry about it, dude. Bend but don't break. Hey, fuck you. So, I mean, are you building the team? Are you? Are you like retooling the team? Here's how I look at it. It's a complete rebuild. In mentality, philosophy. Can I tell you something here? The Eagles in their actions are showing you they believe they're more the 1-7 team than the 10-1 team. Fired both coordinators, change the entire coaching staff out, bringing in a guy who's going to bring in all of his coaches on both sides. It's a complete rebuild. Your Eagle team will look completely different than what it did this past season. I would say this, of your 22 starters, you will have half the team overhauled. New running back, new third wide receiver, 9 guys on D. You'll have 11 guys. Half your football team. Half your roster, your starting 22, will be replaced. You're telling me that that's not a rebuild? I don't know what you would consider a rebuild to be then. All 22? Who are you, Arizona? You're going to be rebuilding your football team as much as Arizona's rebuilding their team. Only difference is Arizona's got more quality picks than you do. Because they've sucked. Now they have to land on their picks, and they don't. If there's one organization that doesn't get draft choices right, that's it. Some places get it right, some don't, like Baltimore, Pittsburgh. I wouldn't trade AJ for draft picks. Howie sucks at talent evaluation. PJ, you got me there. I would trade him for great players on rookie contracts. PJ, let me ask you this. Would you trade AJ Brown for Patrick Surtain? Straight up. Would you trade AJ Brown for Patrick Surtain? You think that you think Denver'd be interested in that? Straight up. Remember, I believe they're going to move off of Judy. Okay? So, and they are going to draft a young quarterback because they're going to try to get out of that Russell Wilson deal. Wilson's going to be either in places like Pittsburgh, who doesn't do shit like that, Atlanta, and depending what Chicago's direction is going to be. I don't believe in Caleb Williams. I'd rather have Russell Wilson than Caleb Williams, but Russell Wilson's getting up there in age, so I don't know. Plus, the money's insane, and I don't know if I want, but Chicago's got the money. I believe Dante's more than capable of stepping up. I do too. I feel, dude, I totally feel safe on betting on Devontae Smith stepping up. He's waiting his time. He is. I actually think getting rid of A.J. Brown may be a better scenario where you got a quarterback that could maybe spread the ball out a little more and maybe be better himself. Because if he can't be better without A.J., I'm not paying him $50. Patrick Mahomes became a better quarterback without Tyreek Hill. And we're not talking about numbers. We're talking about winning championships. He's a better quarterback without the number one deep threat in NFL history. Hard to believe when you say it. Hard to believe. AJ or Mahomes got better. He got better without Tyreek Hill. Hey, let me put this out there to you. What if Mahomes wins this Super Bowl for the second year in a row with that group of wideouts, a tight end and a seventh-round running back? You go, there's nobody in the league like Patrick Mahomes. You answer your own question. Okay, what do I do? What if Purdy wins? Damn. They're paying that guy over there in that end $500 million. $500 million, and Purdy just won that game, making $870,000. Who do you want to be? Searching your whole life for Patrick Mahomes? Or doing the right thing and building your roster like the Niners do? Like New England did? Like Green Bay is? What makes more sense? What gives you the best chance of success? Throwing a dart in the dark and trying to find Mahomes and hoping Hurts is Mahomes? Or building a great roster and having a guy like Purdy directing your team, or Foles? Brock Purdy's Nick Foles. Brock Purdy's Nick Foles. That's who he is. He's 17-3 on that football team with all those great football players. I would make the argument that Brock Purdy's done more in 2 years of his starting than Jalen has. This is his second straight NFC title game. He didn't get to participate in last year's because he got hurt, but he's driven two teams to 2 NFC titles in 2 years starting. You could make that argument for him. People were going like this: I have to see a full year. Well, he threw for 4,200 yards and 30-some-odd touchdowns. Had an incredible quarterback rating. Completion percentage off the charts. What else do you need? You know, you got to get to a point where you stop doing this. The only reason that you disrespect Brock Purdy the way you do is because he was the last player taken. You put another jersey on that guy, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, anybody else, and you put that jersey on that quarterback in San Francisco, you'd be talking about him in the same breath as Trevor Lawrence or any of these other guys. But you can't overcome the distinction. Jalen still can't. Don't you understand that's what Jalen Hurts battles? Second rounder, lost his job in Bama. You never shake that. That's how people see Jalen. They don't see Jalen. Oh, Jalen had a runner-up, most valuable player. Hey, as soon as that guy starts having a couple shit games, hey, man, this guy ain't the guy. He's a poor leader. He's this and he's that. Then you go back to going to what people talked about when he was at Alabama. 2 straight NFC championship games. I don't know. It's pretty impressive to me. Jalen Hurts is not a fraud. I think the people around him are questionable. I heard Tone talking earlier on Sports Take. I don't have any concerns about Hurts. Oh, I have complete concerns about Hurts. You know what they are? Are people going to coach him good? Is he going to be able to overcome it? Is he going to be able to overcome poor decision-making like we saw this past year? Jalen Hurts had all those turnovers and all of that inconsistency because of how bad the coaching staff was inconsistent. He couldn't overcome shitty coaching. He could not overcome shitty coaching. So you tell me, you're not worried about him? I'm not worried about the man. I'm worried about the people around the man. Hurts showed you he couldn't overcome it. All of a sudden now he's going to overcome it? You're exactly right. When you don't have the first round tag on you and you don't get first round luxuries, the first rounders have the luxury of, that's right. What is that? Oh, you don't really know about a quarterback until his third year. Yeah, that works with first rounders. Shit, man. Jalen Hurts had 1 year starting at 21. The damn organization went out and got 2 ones because they were going to make a move in 22, 23 draft to go get themselves a quarterback in the draft. Then the kid had a superstar year. Oh, all right. And you land on look at what a quarterback that plays well for you gives you the luxury of. And here's Howie at his best and worst. He drafts Jalen Carter, which the team is known to do when it comes to O-line and D-line. Edge rusher, he sucks out loud with Nolan Smith. Typical Howie. That's who he is. Right there, the 2023 draft is a prime example of why you sit back and go, can that guy retool that team? Take it back, rebuild that team. You land on a D tackle. You're known for that. You land on a edge rusher. You fuck that up. You're known for that. Facts. So he's 50-50. I mean, are you comfortable with that? That's why we did that exercise with you yesterday. I don't want Howie drafting linebackers in the top 3 rounds. No way. You got to go get a veteran guy, and he's good at that. And draft a guy in the 4th round or a 5th round linebacker. Or do the UDFA. You're good at that. Okay? You know, it's funny. With coaches, I'll tell you something about Chip Kelly here. I heard the guys before me talking about Chip Kelly and Chip's raising his value by being considered for offensive coordinator. That's not why he's doing it. That's not why Chip Kelly's doing it. You know why Chip Kelly's name is being thrown around to be a potential offensive coordinator in the NFL? Because the league is caught up finally now with the type of offense that he wants, and he's not going to be an administrator. And on top of that, UCLA doesn't have nil money. When UCLA goes to the Big Ten, there'll be a laughingstock because the UCLA alumni only invest in what? Basketball. They don't invest in football. They never have. Have you seen the empty stands at UCLA football games? Nobody goes to them. UCLA football is a joke. And he wants out. He can't compete with the nil. They don't have a nil program at UCLA for the football team. That's why he wants out. I would not be shocked if Chip takes a coordinating job and leaves UCLA as the head coach. I would not be shocked. He can't compete. I guarantee you Purdue's got a better nil program than what Chip Kelly's UCLA Bruins do. Purdue football in West Lafayette or East Lafayette, whatever it is, that's a religion there. UCLA, it's a hoop school. Don't give a shit about football. They never have. That's why he wants out. There's no money. Chip can't go and put a $7 million nil program in front of a quarterback and bring him to Westwood. You know why? They don't have the money. But you got programs like LSU offering $7 million nil deals to potential quarterbacks. Iowa has massive nil money. That hospital they got behind that stadium, what do you think that hospital's there for? It fuels that stadium. Franklin Field at A&M, there's a hotel across the street. $25,000 a night during the football season on a Saturday. All that money goes to the football program. And they got 500 rooms in that place. All that money goes to A&M football. UCLA has none of that. That's why he's being considered. Driving his price up? No, he can't compete. UCLA leaving the Pac-12 is horrible. That's why he wants out. Unless you're at Oregon or USC, you ain't got a program on the West Coast. Well, Chip's just trying to get more money from UCLA. UCLA's not going to pay him more money. They don't have it. Okay. Rebuilding. This is a complete rebuild. It's a complete rebuild for the Eagles. It's a complete rebuild. Here's why. By the way, Philly 500, 5:30 Eastern. Here's why it's a complete rebuild. On one hand, you have a massive problem with personnel on defense. I'd say on a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 9. On the offensive side, you got too much money on that side of the ball. You don't make any hard decisions over there. You're going to have to go like this. Do I want Landon Dickerson? Do I want Devontae Smith? Do I want A.J. Brown? You can't pay them all. Or guess what? You'll keep robbing your defense. And then Howie's going to have to come in and do his bullshit picks that he fails on defensively. I'm trying to think, when's the last all-pro defensive football player that the Eagles have drafted that made first-team all-pro that they drafted? Has to be Fletcher. He's got to be the last one that's still on the team, right? Has to be Fletcher that made first-team all-pro. Man, you guys don't do a very good job at all on defense. Damn. And I'm supposed to believe that he's going to rebuild this team. Why in the world would you believe that? What gives you that confidence? And so some would go like this. Okay, Sills, then why would you trade AJ if you don't believe? Because I'll tell you what, if you give him at least 15 picks, I'm hoping he lands on 5 of them. I mean, I hope he lands on 5 of them. I want to give that guy as many opportunities to land on somebody. Seals, would you hire Scott Pioli for drafting? You're going to have a 5-win season this year for that to happen. Howie's going to be in charge of this draft. And by the way, for the record, I disagree with Rob Ellis. I think Howie totally believes that he has the linebackers going forward there. Zach Cunningham and Nakobe Dean are your starters. I already know what this thing's going to look like. Those two guys are not good and not reliable. Man, you're already setting up your room for failure. It's really crazy. Why would you repeat shit when you know you're going to get shit? Your linebackers will blow again. What are you going to, like I said, we did this exercise yesterday. What are you going to do at corner? What are you going to do at corner? Hope. Come on, Sills. We can't be hoping for Howie to make good picks anymore. That's why we're in this mess. 4 for 4. Exactly. So then this. Okay. And I heard a bunch of people going like this. It's crazy to think about trading AJ. You think it's crazy going into the season with the linebackers you have right now? What's more crazy? Going into the season where you know those backers will cost you games, or making sure AJ gets his yards. Jesus criminy. You're not looking at the big picture here. AJ Brown won't win you games. Your linebackers will cost you games. That's the storyline of 2023. AJ had a career year, and you were 1-6. I think he had a great year. Broke all kinds of Eagle records. And you were 1-6. What's the point? You know what the point is? And again, I hear people saying, I want to upgrade the 3 wide receiver. How much more are you going to give that quarterback before you start to do this? He can't carry it. You got to eventually find out if he can. The NFL used to be more balanced before they started caring about offense too much. Pittsburgh used to be phenomenal on defense. That's correct. You know what happened was gambling and prop bets. Nobody wants to see a 17-14 ball game anymore. They want to see 35-31 games. There's more opportunity for betting and more opportunities for you making wagers on the game. And they're setting it up. Remember something. Gambling is jet fuel for the NFL now. It's complete jet fuel. The NFL just absolutely dwarfs everything else on the planet. I mean, there's nothing close to it. 93 of the 100 TV shows last year were pro football. And the jet fuel for the NFL is gambling. Why in the world would I have rules for the defensive guys to hamper guys scoring touchdowns? That's why there's more talented wide receivers in the game today than there are running backs. Nobody wants to see 28 carries, including your owner. You don't really believe that Kellen Moore was hired. I can't wait to talk to Tone at 3:30 because you don't really believe you're going to run the ball more than you did last year and the year before. You're going to run it less. You're not running it more. You're not going to be balanced. That's not what they want in these new coordinators today. You think that owner, Jeffrey Lurie, wants a 25 carry back when you're paying a quarterback $50 million? What's the point? You see, hey, when you got a guy, I'll tell you what, there's 2 things that have made Patrick Mahomes an even better quarterback. Pacheco and a defense. Isn't that funny? Ain't no A.J. Brown. What made Mahomes better was Pacheco and a defense. Hey, let's pay A.J. Brown 20. Let's play Devontae 20. Okay, sure. Can't be stupider. Eagles have only had three defensive players make first team All-Pro since 2004, Brian Dawkins and Lito Shepherd. That's some record. That's some record. Dude, you're not very good at drafting defensive players. You're just not. I can't believe how poor you are. You're like Arizona Cardinal poor. Like, the Cardinals don't understand the draft. Do you? How can the Niners land on Warner in the third and you land on Dean in the third? And Warner went to BYU, not the mecca of linebackers, but because you have a guy who's a football GM and John Lynch, he knows what he's looking for. Howie doesn't. He's a bookworm. He belongs at a library downtown. That's who he is. He's a librarian, a statistician, an analytics dude. John Lynch looks at 20 feet of tape and goes, yeah, that's the guy. He's a football dude. He's a Pro Football Hall of Famer. He's competed. Actually, you want to hear something about Lynch that makes it even crazier? John Lynch's first love was not football. It was baseball. He was drafted by the Marlins and was on the initial Marlins baseball team that started the season. He was a Marlin first. Then he became a football player. John Lynch has competed. Highs and lows. He's a perfect general manager. Not just about playing safety for the Bucks or the Broncos. You've got a bookkeeper. The 49ers have a football man making their picks. And there's no, hey, get this. Kyle Shanahan made that pick at quarterback. That was Kyle Shanahan. But you got to give it to Kyle Shanahan. He goes, take Purdy at the last pick. I'll take him. Okay. You saved the day. And you saved your ass. Because if that guy delivers a Super Bowl making the money he's making, get this. The Purdy pick is so instrumental in the building of that roster that they can overcome losing 3-1s. How incredible is that to say? If Brock Purdy delivers a Super Bowl next Sunday and wins it, they overcame losing 3-1s. Roster building, salary, and the ability to have latitude to fill positions everywhere else on the roster. What an absolute gift. And it cost you 3-1s to get all that. It's worth it. Think about that. It cost the 49ers 3-1s to have cap integrity, cap balance, roster balance, and not having to pay the quarterback. It cost them 3-1s. Would you give 3-1s for that? And they're in the Super Bowl again. Would you pay 3-1s for all those luxuries? I would. And they're going to be good for the next 3 years. And they're going to be good. Eagle goes like this. Now you're sucking off Lynch after calling them crybabies during the season. They did cry. They did cry all offseason. They did moan all offseason. But guess what they did? They came into your building and punched you in the fucking mouth and justified it and said you were phonies. and beat the shit out of you and drug you like you were a dead body. So they're crying. They justified it. I'm sorry, Eagle fan, that you have to take it in the face like that. They basically took the cannoli out and smacked you in the face in your own building. Yes, they cried. They moaned. Guess what they were? They were right. Because you couldn't do anything about it. And that's the real ass rub, isn't it? What's that got to do with John Lynch building a roster better than yours? What's that got to do with it? They embarrassed you in your own barn. I know we got lucky with Hurts, but they got extremely lucky with Purdy. If we stuck with they did. Hey, do you not think you got lucky with Mulata? Do you not think that the Cowboys got lucky with Larry Allen in the 12th? Do you not think that you got all that luck? Hey, what did I see that one guy say? San Francisco has $1 million in cap space. Well, they don't have any holes to fill. They don't have any holes to fill. Okay, no problem. I'm pretty happy with my roster. I'm good. You see, when you don't have a lot of cap space and you're in the Super Bowl, you're justified. When you are a team that's completely rebuilding like the Eagles are, you're not justified. The Niners have been vindicated and Eagle fans have to eat it. Them making it to the Super Bowl completely adds credence to the fact that we were frauds. That's tone. It's pretty strong. That's pretty strong. Okay? I think the 2022 team was a good football team for the Eagles. That's a great roster. You got shitty coaching. And that same shitty coaching, isn't it funny? Think about what happened last year. You had a really great roster, right? You had the same shitty coach. Well, you had a shitty head coach. You had a really great coordinator and a really decent one. You take the decent guys off, you're stuck with a shitty coach. And there you have it. And that's why you fell apart. Because you had the same shitty coach. Not hard to see, is it? I actually heard people in Philly and on my network saying that Nick Sirianni's the best coach in the NFC. Really? Really? Better than Sean McVay. Okay. Sure. Right. What a big time rebuild this thing is. Oh, and today's going to be a rough one, Sills. Why? Because we're not kissing any ass today. I know, Tone. I know. I'm going to take it. I'm going to do one more thing to Tone here. This is on the way out the door here, too. On the first stop set here. You ready? Hold on. Where is it? Damn, Andy Reid. 5 Super Bowls. 4 AFC titles. 1 NFC title. It's time to move on. This is time to move on. 14 years, Dan. What the hell else do you want? What do you want from me, guy? It's time to move on. Jesus. 5 Super Bowls? Good night. Oh, hey, tactically, right? All right. Hey, don't forget, folks, our good friends at Hooters, man, they got the calendars out. $100 in coupons are inside the calendars. You can go to the app at hooterstogo.com and also check out the calendars 2024 at northeasthooters.com. That's northeasthooters.com. When you roll in, do me a favor. Tell them Big Sil sent you.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.
Any professional sports coach will tell you there's no substitution for preparation. At Malamut & Associates, that is a tenet by which we live. We prepare from day one for victory. Anything less is not acceptable.
Underdog Fantasy has a way for you to play alongside your favorite football team all season long with their Fantasy Pick'em game. You pick between 2 to 5 players, select whether they'll go higher or lower on one of their stats, then do what you usually do on a Sunday, watch the games. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, and the Sports Betting Show wants you to get involved. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. When you sign up, use the promo code WIN, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales, please hit the like button. Joe's going to join us in a couple minutes. And Philly 500 at 5:30. DB says the Eagles aren't rebuilding. Really? With that shit defense, there's a delusional fan again who thinks he's good and that they're good. He thinks they're the 10-1 team. I think you're the 1-7 team. Did you not watch your team play? But these magical genies are going to float into Philadelphia and change the world. Ooh. They're going to sprinkle their little wisdom all over everything on shit and turn shit into Cinderella. You talk about, you can't be more delusional than that. You win with Jimmy's and Joe's, dog. And you ain't got them on defense. Stop pretending. You know, the quicker some of you get to the point where you understand you have nothing on defense, zero, nothing. You have so few redeeming qualities on defense, it's not worth really bringing up. Carter, Reddick, Sweat, Fletcher, Milton. Rest of them, you can have everything. Get this, I'll trade the entire defensive football team. If I could just keep those four, you can have anything out there. Take Blankenship and all them other guys. Go take them. They're not worthy to be on my team. 49ers projected to have 11 NFL draft picks in 24. Yeah, Lynch knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. Do you think if we traded AJ for Surtain and added like a fifth Bronco would take Bradbury? It's too much money, man. You're taking $20 million on, and then you're taking another 15 or 12 on. So you're talking about $32 million in salary? They got a lot of money in that whole shit contract of Russell Wilson. That's a lot of money. They'd have to do and why would Bradbury restructure? He wouldn't. Okay? He wouldn't. He wouldn't. I thought that this was awesome. I thought this was spectacular, this story. And believe me when I tell you, from the Boston Sports Journal, and he's a Hall of Fame voter, one of the 50 voters, Greg Babard reported that the Eagles were seriously considering hiring Bill Belichick as the head football coach of the Philadelphia Eagles and could be a strong candidate for 2024. That's all you need to know. And it makes sense. And here's why. If you're going to replace a guy that's been to the playoffs 3 years in a row, you're replacing him with him. And for all those people who say that Belichick doesn't know quarterbacks, shit, he's drafted 5 starters. How many has Jim Harbaugh developed? How many quarterbacks has he drafted? How many quarterbacks has he had at Michigan and sent to the NFL? How many? I can't remember. J.J. McCarthy? You make it sound like that guy was developing quarterbacks in Ann Arbor. He wasn't. They were going to replace, if Bill had stronger interest, they were going to replace him with Bill Belichick. And by the way, Greg Babard is a really well-respected guy in media. He's one of the most respected sports writers there is out there. He's been a Hall of Fame voter for God knows how long. The Eagles would have to completely overhaul their philosophy to bring in Belichick. It would contradict everything they've shown us to be. Yeah. That's why Bill doesn't have a job in Atlanta. And that's why Bill's value went up. See, the media is ridiculous. How many people think Belichick's value went down because he didn't get a job? I actually think it went up because he had higher demands. He's not with his hand out. He's got 3 more years of $20 million. He don't have to sit around. Shit, Bill could just say this. Fuck it. No good deal came. No team that I wanted to coach gave me the opportunity the way I want to do it. And if you don't want my expertise, so be it. See, what the problem becomes is that fans are jealous of his success. Like they're becoming jealous of Mahomes' success. Now, the Chiefs dynasty is easier to like than the Patriot dynasty was. Okay? The Patriot dynasty wasn't very likable. I never really thought Tom Brady was very likable. Because Tom Brady never gave you anything to. He was kind of like his coach. And any kind of little thing that popped up, deflated footballs or some stupid shit like that. Air pressure in a football determined the outcome of a Super Bowl. Oh, good night. You'll believe anything. Because you know why? Most of you would like to take shots at greatness because that's all you can do because none of you have legacies. So you take a shot at it. Especially when somebody does something like he did. and as long as he did it. Yeah, but you see the last 4 years? I did. You see the last 20 years? Or you forgetting the other 20. So you just read the ending of the book instead of the entire book. Most novels, the hero dies in the end. Just saying. To me, that's why I don't root for teams. I root for greatness. People aren't buying that story. Okay? Am I? Oh, I know why Bill didn't get the Atlanta job. I talked to Rich McKay. Wanted complete power and $28 million a year. They said no. Okay, no problem. You get Raheem. That's not a bad hire. Now, will Josh Harris do that? You understand why Dan Quinn didn't get that job in Seattle. Dan Quinn wanted total control. John Schneider didn't want to give it. And so you hired a younger guy at less money. Good hire. The Ravens DC. He's not bad. But this comes down to control and money. You know why Mike Vrabel's not going to take a job? Mike Vrabel's not just going to walk into a place that you're going to bury him. You see, quality people in life, if I'm going to run my ship into an iceberg, I'm going to be the captain of the boat. I'm not going to let you drive me into the iceberg and murder my career. You feel me? If I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail. You're not helping me fail. Belichick not getting it. You see him. This guy, he's out of touch. He's not out of touch. He's just not going to be hired. And he's not going to be a guy walking around pretending that he's begging for a gig. He doesn't have to. He's got $60 million coming to him. And by the way, how much money do you think he's made in his career? $100 million? This guy made $20 million a year for like 10 years. Come on, man. Let's bring my guy Tone in.
Big sales. How we feeling, sir?
How we feeling? I don't know, Tone. You know,
I'm feeling
why does your fan base
feeling rambunctious.
Why does 10% of your fan base just don't get it? It's not about AJ Brown being a bad guy or anything. It's about the 53-man roster on building something with quality and having a balanced cap, having a balanced salary cap, having a balanced roster. I just don't get why you look at one guy, not you, look at one guy and go, it's important we have AJ on the team. And I could make a point to you, AJ's not going to win you a Super Bowl, dude. He's just not. He had his best year of his career. He's not.
You ask why? It's a choice. People are making the conscious choice. You see, when I was just a spectator of the sport, I had the perspective of marrying myself to players because that's a natural fan inclination. That's by design. It's baked in, right? They sell jerseys for a reason. They want you to marry yourself to players, right? But the sad reality is it's a sad life to live because once those players get traded or if they're in contract talks, whatever it is, you're typically let down in the end. So I've gotten to a point where I've stopped marrying myself to players. I fight that urge regularly because I'm a fan of the team.
You're a fan of Hurts too.
I'm a fan of Hurts. I'm a fan of football. So it's natural for us to marry ourselves to players. That feeling is not unnatural. What's unnatural is ignoring reality. And the reality is, after going through not just the cap space, but going through the Philadelphia Eagles roster top to bottom on Sports Take earlier, going through each position group and how much money is allocated, and realizing who's coming back and who's not coming back, or at least who has a contract or who doesn't, what's looming, so on and so forth. The Philadelphia Eagles are much further than people want to admit they are. I don't understand it, but I'm willing to talk about it. So let's have some fun today.
No, they're closer to a 5-win team than they are to being in the Super Bowl next year.
Yeah. It's so funny. Earlier I asked on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the closest, 1 being the furthest. How close are the Philadelphia Eagles to being not a playoff team, being a legitimate Super Bowl contender? Because that's not what we're in it for, right? We're not in it for division banners. We're not in it for just playoff berths. I'm in it to win the Super Bowl. At least me. I'm speaking for myself. So I asked, how far are the Philadelphia Eagles? Or how close are they to a Super Bowl? 10 being the closest, 1 being the furthest. I said they're around 4 or 5. You know? My co-host Rob Ellis, he feels they're a bit closer. He said about 6 or 7.
No way.
That's just my opinion though. And again, completely respect his opinion. But I just view it a little bit differently. And that's okay.
Because you cut the team in half. And you cut the team in half because the 4 is perfect. Because you know why? The offense is half the 10. The coordinator, you want to see it work. That's why you knocked them down to 4. Now, if the coordinator works, that pushes it up to 6. If the talent comes through on that side of the, you know what I'm saying? You're looking at it on the production scale again.
Yeah,
That's
I'm just
exactly
trying to.
how you're looking at it. You can't look at me right now and go, well, it's a 7 when you've got the worst defense in the league.
Yeah, so
you just can't.
Yeah, and again, I'm not saying that to make anybody look a certain way.
No.
I'm just trying to.
We love him.
Yeah. I'm just trying to put it into perspective. How far I think they are.
Yeah, they're far away.
And also just put into perspective how varying the perspectives people have when it comes to this team. And that's the position that the Philadelphia Eagles have put this fan base and put the local media and national media in. No one has a clear-cut indication of where the Philadelphia Eagles are. And I think that's because they don't have a clear-cut indication of where they are. I think they haven't been honest with themselves.
They have not. And that's why when people come here and they get upset with me because I basically give them the skinny every day, and I have since day one, where and a lot of people, even on my channel, when they were 10-1, I'm going, that's not who they are.
So listen to this, right? So listen to this.
That's not who they are. Everyone fought me and said for that matter. And we kept going, that's not who they are. That's not who they are. Sure enough, they turned into who they were. And
real quick to your point, right? This is what I realized, especially when it comes to you and how you talk about the team. People laugh. Okay, people laugh at lies, but they scream at truths. You ever notice that?
I love that take.
They laugh at lies.
I love that.
But they scream at the top of their lungs when they hear truth.
And they insult.
It's the natural order of things.
Yep.
You know what I mean? If someone says something that's a lie about me, naturally I'm like, wait, what? I laugh, I joke, But when I hear someone saying something that's a little too close to home, a little bit too accurate, I get a little bit defensive. You know what I mean? It's the natural order of who we are as humans. So when I look at this Philadelphia Eagles team, I used to get emotional about them. I used to get angry, especially in season. But now that the season's over, I can relax a little bit. They're much further than what people want to admit, and that's okay. You want to know why? Because I care more about getting this thing right than getting it done fast. And people are impatient with success. It's natural.
It is.
But again, I care about getting it right.
Here,
not doing it faster than everybody else. I want something that's sustainable.
By the way, the reason that I went with AJ a couple weeks ago and I started asking a question about would you consider trading him? Here's why I did it. There's no question that he's the second best player on the team. You're not trading Hurts.
Right.
So he's the guy that's going to bring you the most riches.
Yeah, I'm willing to argue he's the best
position of need that you can retool. And Tone, I hope you were listening to how I look at these $50 million quarterbacks. When I look at Dak Prescott this offseason here, I'm Jerry Jones. I am not paying that guy $59.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
There is no way. It's 9 years of it. Why would I consistently do that when I've got to pay CeeDee and Micah, and I got to pay a quarterback who has not delivered? To me, you've got to have a quarterback that can carry you to NFC championship games if you're paying that much money. I'm going to ask you the question. You think Jalen Hurts gets a second contract at $60 million?
I can't definitively say that today. That's just the reality. I can't definitively say that.
Not because we don't want it to be either.
Right. It's because we're basing it off of today and what has happened. I can't definitively say anybody is due up for a second contract. You know what I mean? I can't. The only person I could say that I'm giving a second contract to without a question is Devontae Smith, Landon Dickerson,
Mulata.
Well, actually, that was
his third. It'd be
his third technically.
Yeah.
Right. It'd be his third. But overall, though, when it comes to guys like that, those are the guys I'm giving a second contract to. You know, and you know, when it comes to the AJ situation, you know, you and I talked about this off air, right? When we talk about this, and I really want people to truly feel me when I say this, this has nothing to do with his character. It has nothing to do with him on the field, on the sideline. It has nothing to do with the off. It has nothing to do with that. In my humble opinion, I think, you know, did AJ Brown have hiccups throughout the season with leadership? Sure. But I think overall, I think AJ Brown is a hell of a teammate.
Yeah, man. I'm good with him.
I think he's a, you know, and I'm not even saying this for you. I'm saying this for the people. I think he's a hell of a teammate, an even better player, an even better human being, an even better family man. He's like, you know, when it comes to that wide receiver position, yeah, we can say they're divas, but when it comes to just being a stand-up person, AJ Brown is one of those guys.
No,
I like AJ Brown a lot, but I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan first.
Yeah, that's right.
And for me, I'm looking at it like this: the Philadelphia Eagles have so many holes to fill. They have no depth at almost every position.
On defense, most notably.
They have no depth on offense. Look, listen to this. I mean, I'm glad we're here. This is why we got time. I want to show you something, because the Philadelphia Eagles, again, they have more work to do than people want to admit. I'm going to go to the positional spending, right? And I'm going to show you who they have on the active roster, who has a contract going into the 2024 season at the wide receiver position. Let me just go there, because, again, people want to pretend like the Eagles are just a move or two away. They're still Super Bowl contenders. They're not. They have some work to do. Let's really break this down here. So this is the wide receiver room as it stands right now. This is the cap breakdown for the wide receiver room, and this is the 2024 cap and going forward. All these wide receivers you see are the only wide receivers that have contracts with the Philadelphia Eagles going into 2024.
You got $18 million in two guys.
You have $18 million in two guys. As far as the cap hit, right? But just beyond that, right? Who on this list?
No one.
Are you betting on besides AJ Brown and Devontae Smith?
The rest of those guys, you can have every one of those guys.
Right. Britton Covey's a return guy, but ultimately he's replaceable. So the reality is they have no wide receivers
here, though, Tone. Think about what you're showing us here. That's not a true indication, 5%. Because you know what it is? Okay.
That's just the cap. That's just the cap, not the whole contract.
Those two guys combined are almost 8% of the cap.
Correct.
And two guys that are legitimate on your team. The rest of them are non-factors. So you have in two wideouts, 10% almost of your salary cap is on two wide receivers and nobody else.
That's a fact. So again, do we still believe it's possible or plausible that we can pay both AJ Brown and Devontae Smith? Matter of fact, let me put it this way, Sills. Anything is possible. Yeah, you can pay them both, but is that the smart football move?
No,
it's not.
Here, let me show you this.
Why do you think, real quick, Eagles fans, why do you think the Bengals haven't offered T. Higgins a contract?
They're not going to.
Because they know they're not going to pay two wide receivers north of $20 million. They had Jamar Chase. That contract is coming, and that contract is going to be massive.
They may
so why would they pay T. Higgins?
They may tag him and give him a 1-year deal, and then let him go when Jamar Chase's contract is when his contract is up next year.
Yeah, because Jamar Chase, he's entering year 3, and
so he got another year on this. He got another full season. They'll do it in the offseason and dump Higgins.
Yeah, they have to pick up
Higgins at the trade deadline.
So what they're going to do is they're going to pick up the 5th-year option with Chase when his 3rd season ends, and they're going to go from there. That's pretty much how it's going to go. And then I really don't know. I'm not guaranteeing. I think T. Higgins goes somewhere else, if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
but they may try to franchise tag him. But do you see? Think about it, that's Paul Brown and those guys. Do you see them just? Remember, we just looked at the franchise tag for wide receivers.
The Browns
$20
have
million
zippers on their wallet. Okay.
The Bengals got zippers on their wallets.
Yeah, the Bengals have zippers on their wallet. Duke Tobin pays his players in pennies.
We just looked at the franchise tag, the projected franchise tag for all the positions. For wide receivers, it's $20 million. You think he's franchise tagging T. Higgins with a guaranteed $20 million? If you had to bet on that.
You want to hear something when I look at that wide receiver thing there that you just showed? A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, you take them off the team, you take them off that list, that's the Kansas City Chiefs wideouts.
Basically.
And he's in the Super Bowl again.
Special guy, man. Special.
That's right, Tone.
He's a freak. He's an alien.
When you have a $50 million guy like that and you have faith in him, you are able to sustain getting rid of Tyreek Hill, Orlando Brown, Honey Badger, all these other guys, because you take the resources that you moved the Hill. Dude, Hill has made the Kansas City Chiefs a 2-time Super Bowl participant. And he's in Miami.
And guess what? You know what makes it even more damning? The Chiefs knocked out the Dolphins in the playoffs.
If you're Tyreek Hill now, you're sitting back going like this.
He got his money, but
I got my number. I got my wallet. This is A.J. Brown in Philly. Hey, I got my numbers. I got my bag of money, and I don't own a ring.
And they came pretty damn close with A.J. Brown. That's why losing that Super Bowl was so damning.
And you lose it because of poor coaching.
You lost it because A.J. Brown showed up in that game. And everybody did, but it was besides defense, of course. But again, man, we can talk if you want. We can talk more about their money situation.
I'm going to show you this.
Yeah,
it kind of goes along with what you're saying here.
Okay.
So the notion of paying both wideouts is off the charts ridiculous.
I just don't see it. I don't see it.
And I get the cap hits on Hurts. You still have to walk in and tell your owner you're doing this. You're going to pay $50 million to your quarterback starting March 18th of this year. You're going to spend $20 million apiece on your wideouts. That's $40 million. Both your tackles are $30 million combined. Just in 5 players with a cap this past season that was 224.8, you'll have basically $120 million if you go with that philosophy of paying 2 wideouts, the tackles.
Let me add this in. Let me add this into you real quick.
And then watch this. In 24, the cap is projected to go to 240.1. Okay.
Right.
So if it's 240.1, half your cap would be in 5 players. How are you building your defense?
Agreed. And listen to this too. A.J. Brown is ranked 4th in the NFL in terms of average annual salary at $25 million. The franchise tag for wide receivers is estimated to be at $20 million. You think the Eagles are going to have 2 wide receivers who are in the top 10 in salary at the wide receiver spot?
You know what I just thought of, Tom?
Come on, man. We got to be honest.
Let me show you how to keep him. Has he done enough in the 2 years to go to him and say, let's have a restructure here, and let's do this. Let's give you $30 million up front and lower that base to 10 over 2 years with an option. It frees up $30 million bucks. He's got 2,900 yards and something like 240 some odd catches in 2 years.
Right.
I mean, and 18 touchdowns.
Right. He's been a freak. There's no question about it.
So do you try to work that deal with him to try to work that bait? Because if you're going to keep Devontae and sign Landon, because you remember something, you even have to do this. And you showed everybody what the cap hit, or not the cap hit, but what the tag hit is going to be for a top flight O lineman. He's going to get 18 million.
It's going to be like 19, 20. Yeah.
He's going to be like 19, 20 million. He's going to make as much as that guard in Indianapolis.
Land is going to make
$20 million.
Land is going to make a minimum of 18.
How about
Actually,
this?
as a matter of fact, if I'm his agent,
Landon's going to be the highest paid O lineman on the Eagles.
if I'm his agent, I'm pushing for 20. I'm pushing for 22. He made 2 back-to-back Pro Bowls.
That's right. He's going to make 20 million.
Right, he's going to make $20 million.
Who's more important to you on getting a deal done? Devontae Smith on the perimeter? Never build your team from the outside in. You always build it from the inside out.
Yeah, I believe in that.
And what are they known for? O-linemen. You've got to figure out financially how to restructure AJ and the 2 corners.
And
but not hurting the integrity of trying to build the defense up too. Because what you've done is you've taken all your money, Tone, and all of your ability to the offensive side. You can't be as young as you're going to be on defense and just think you're going to put draft choices back there, because right now with the money that they don't have, they're going to be putting at least, of the 9 players they have to replace, they're going to be putting at least 6 of those guys are going to be draft choices. And you really think you're going to go into an NFL season next year with 6 out of your 11 guys defensively
being rookies?
As rookies?
It's not going. No. They're going to have to sprinkle in some veterans in there. They wouldn't even feel comfortable if 3 of the guys on that defense is rookies. And to start, they wouldn't feel comfortable with that.
That's not why you're hiring veteran coaches.
Right. And here's the thing, right? When it comes to AJ Brown, I have no doubt that Howie is going to do everything possible to try to keep both of them. But it's going to come a point in time where a decision has to be made. How much does Jalen Hurts need to be successful?
Completely. That
conversation is unavoidable.
Yeah, but wait a minute. That's the hard conversation, because, again, I'm showing you his future here. Dak Prescott's his future. And here it is. If in 4 years you've moved further away from 22, from that Super Bowl appearance and that 3-point loss, and you're moving further away, I'm not giving Jalen Hurts another contract. I'm just not. Because
you got to ask. The reality is,
why would I be throwing another $250 million? Why would I throw $500 million at a guy that I'm not going anywhere with?
Right, and again, this is the hard conversation that people really don't want to have, because they marry themselves to the player.
They got to do that in Buffalo.
Yes, actually, that Buffalo situation is a bit more scary.
I think Sean McDermott's on the hot seat this year,
because when you look at Buffalo's situation, they gotta pay the piper very soon.
No, guess what they're doing? I heard they're gonna cut after June 1, Stephon Diggs to free up $25 million.
You think they're actually gonna commit to cutting Diggs?
Yes, I do. They're gonna move off him. He's 31.
And guess what? Guess what? Right? You see the tough decision that an organization has to make when it comes to a wide receiver of that caliber.
When you're paying your guy $50.
When you're paying your guy that kind of money, what makes AJ Brown exempt from that conversation?
He's not. Look at this is why, again, Tone, the San Francisco. Now, do you want to try to search your whole entire life for the needle in the haystack known as Patrick Mahomes? Or do you want to build your roster like the way the 49ers build it, for longevity, for today and tomorrow? Or do you want to keep searching and removing pieces from your team because you have to pay your quarterback? Dallas has had to remove so many pieces. Zeke Elliott, Amari Cooper, O-linemen. They had a contract dispute with Zach Martin, who's going to Canton, Ohio. He's their best offensive player in the huddle. He's better than Dak. Dak ain't going to Canton unless he's buying a ticket.
That's why
that guy's going to Canton with a bust.
That's why when the Cowboys drafted Dak in the 4th round and they found out how good he was in their rookie year, it was almost imperative that they won during that window. The moment that rookie deal ran out, it was done. because, they had Amari Cooper. Remember, they had Amari Cooper. Then they had Michael Gallup when he was healthy. A healthy Michael Gallup was a problem. I remember that.
And
then they drafted
Zeke Elliott that got the ball in the end zone.
They had a healthy Zeke who was going crazy. They drafted Lamb. Dak had it all. And
look where he is now. They
couldn't get it done.
Away.
They taking pieces away little by little.
Little by little. And now all of a sudden you're at a $59.5 million question.
And he still played well this year.
Again, Tone,
but
ask
he couldn't
yourself,
get over
you
the
think
hill.
that guy gets you across the finish line.
But and you and I have talked about this, right? I need to see Dak Prescott play for someone else because I'm confused. Is it a Dak issue or is it a Cowboys issue?
I think it's a Dallas issue.
That's what I think. Like, it's no way a guy that good all year long just disappears like that.
73 and 41 during the regular season in his time there, and he's 2-5 in the postseason. And there's a $59.5 million question mark for Jerry and what he has to do.
I need to see Dak somewhere else.
Dak, I go to Pittsburgh.
Me and Rob was talking about that. Pittsburgh or
I got to go where good ownership is because I don't have it in Dallas.
Could you see Dak in Atlanta?
Money, dude.
Could you see Dak in Atlanta?
Go to a place that has a fabulous coach, and Mike Tomlin and him, in my opinion, would win Super Bowls.
Could you see Dak in Atlanta?
I think that's I think it's a good organization. Arthur Blank is a really great owner. Raheem Morris is a really good coach, but I'd rather have Tomlin if I'm Dak.
Of course. But
I would even maybe restructure my deal and go, I'll tell you what, let's do it this way, and then I'll sign a 2-year deal with you, and then we'll figure it out after that. Wins the Super Bowl. I tell you what, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are a quarterback away from being in the AFC title game.
I think so too.
With that defense with that rejuvenated run game, you put Dak Prescott out there and you put him in that Steeler organization with all them great coaches and Mike, I think they're in the AFC title game.
Yeah, it took them a couple years to realize it, but they finally realized that Najee Harris can't be their only guy.
Right.
It took them a couple years because they thought he can be the bell cow.
Because they always believed in a single back set. They never believed in dual backs.
Right. But then
they've changed their philosophy off that.
Right. Coming into the season, they found his other running back. I don't know his name. I forget. But regardless, they were splitting carries a lot, and they had a really strong running game. They had a running game, they had a defense, but they didn't have a quarterback.
Well, why would you think Jalen is not subject to this conversation?
I don't think he's above any conversation.
Don't bring that up too much around the Philly guys because they'll get a little pissed off and say Jalen's not the problem. No, we're not.
I'm not saying he's the problem. That's not what I'm saying.
I'm not saying he's the problem. I'm saying that the way that they build their team's the problem.
Yeah. Well, for me, what I'm saying is the Philadelphia Eagles are a team that are much further than what people want to admit, and there's gonna come a point in time where the quarterback is not going to have the perfect situation. Every situation is not going to be perfect. That's why losing that Super Bowl last year was so damning because everything worked out for you. It couldn't have worked out any better. Many people, if they would have won that Super Bowl, you probably would have got argument. It probably would have been so many debates about was that the perfect NFL season? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because everybody was
one of the better teams of all time. Yeah.
Right. Because everybody hit on free agency. Everybody in the draft hit that year. That were playing. You got so much production from the quarterback in the second round, on a second round deal. See, the Eagles were
the 17th Super Bowl in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, it would have changed the complete complexion of how we view this season. So they again, this offseason is going to be so pivotal for the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm admitting that. I think that's the reality that this offseason can make or break where we go.
You think this is a complete rebuild or a halfway rebuild?
A halfway rebuild is contradictory, even in and of itself. It's either you're rebuilding or you're not. You know what I mean?
Okay. Is this a total rebuild? And let me lay it out for you here. Personnel-wise on defense, it's a complete 100% rebuild. On offense, what exactly are you going towards? Are you going to be more of a finesse team with less running? Because let me tell you something, Tone. Kellen Moore's not going to run the ball more.
No, he's not.
You're going to become more of a finesse football team.
Look, and
And
that's
you
pretty
don't want to
much where
hear.
the league
Get
is.
this. People in Philly don't want to hear this. It's going to be 3-1, and
It
you're
is.
gonna make Jalen Hurts look more like Donovan McNabb, or attempting to look like Donovan McNabb,
Mhm.
more than what Jalen Hurts looked like. He's moving further away with this hire, in my opinion. He's moving further away from 22 than he is moving closer to 22.
Yeah, I was talking to John McMullen about this, and in so many words, and he basically was saying that, the two main candidates that they were looking at was Kingsbury and Kellen Moore, right? He was saying if you were trying to lean more into what Jalen Hurts does well, you would hire Kingsbury. That's what he does. He's worked with those kind of quarterbacks. If you're trying to expand or add on to what he does, then you bring in Kellen Moore, and that's what they did. This hire clearly signified their vision for the quarterback.
Yeah,
Clearly.
really, who do you think they wanted? I know who they wanted.
Oh, you mean as far as hiring?
Yeah.
Who do you think they wanted?
They wanted Kingsbury, but you know why? Kingsbury's got $20 million he's making.
He's making a lot of money.
Why in the world would I come here if you're not going to pay me significant amount of money? And why would
Right.
I forfeit that with Arizona?
And also, he's coming in basically asking, and again, this is us putting the pieces together. He basically coming in asking, yeah, I want you to pay me more than your head coach. That's not happening. So, that's
He'd be making more, because what would happen? They would offset it. Say that the Eagles paid him 6. That's what Nick makes.
yeah,
Say they paid him 6.
John told me last night, Nick can make 7.
Okay.
Yeah, he makes 7, yeah.
Okay, so you're going to pay him 6. 6 would go to the Cardinals, who are paying him 20 for the next 2 years. Okay, so he'd be in the building, the highest paid coach in the building, making 20 million, basically.
They couldn't
$20
justify
million
that.
a year.
Exactly. So the Eagles couldn't justify that. So you don't make the hire. You know what I mean? You hire Kellen Moore. And look, we don't know if Kellen Moore is going to be. We don't know anything about it.
I have no
You
idea.
know what I mean? Because look, he can very well come in here and create an offense that works around Jalen Hurts. He could definitely. We don't know if he can or can't, but I would like to think he's a smart individual. Everything surrounding his career in terms of picking up the blitz and being more modern in the route concepts, he seems like an intelligent dude. So I would like to think he's capable of coming in here and bringing the best out of the quarterback, but it all remains to be seen. I can't say definitively he will. I can't say definitively that he won't. So I'm going to continue to, monitor this thing on the line.
Okay. Okay. All right. Sure. I mean, what else can you do?
What else can you? What else can we do?
Hey,
What else can we do, man? All we can do is wait and see. But overall,
you're one pissed off dude, ain't you?
I am. If I'm being honest, I am because
You're seeing it slip away is what your problem is. And you see him fucking up Hurts. It's bugging you.
it's frustrating.
I heard you say today, I don't have a problem with Hurts. I don't either. I have a problem with people around him.
I have a problem with the situation.
Yeah.
That's my biggest issue because
they dragged him down at 23 to the point where he couldn't overcome it. What makes you think that's not going to be the case again? Because he showed you, Tone, he couldn't overcome incompetence.
And that's what you're seeing on my face every single day.
That's right. And
The
so
frustration
that's
because
concerning. That's concerning.
There are things about this organization right now that makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it shows in how I've been talking about him.
AJ Brown, trying to get AJ Brown traded, and then people fire back at me. Sills, you really want all those draft choices in Howie's hands? No. And they go, okay, we got to have one or the other here, guy. I mean, I'm going like this. You're right.
Yeah. That's the rub right there, right? That's the rub. Okay.
Rub. I want to give the guy. See, I'm looking at it like this, Tone. I want to give him as many draft choices as I can. I'm hoping he lands on 5.
You're looking at it like you're looking at it like this. Listen, if I give him enough bullets, he got to hit something.
He got to hit something.
He got to hit something.
You got to hit something, dude. Actually,
I hear you. I hear you on that.
Averages here. Hey, man, if I give you 15 picks, you will hit on 5, right?
Hey, listen. In the NBA, you have guys who are volume scorers, and guys who just get hot immediately. I consider Howie Roseman to be a volume drafter. You know, you give him enough picks, he's going to land on something. He's going to hit something, right?
Eventually.
You know, eventually. You know what I mean? A broken clock is right, what, twice a day, they say?
Yep, twice a day.
So,
Jesus Christ. All right, let me
yeah.
ask you a very difficult question about Jalen Hurts.
Let's do it.
What exactly do you think his ceiling is?
Are you looking for like a name of a player to compare him to, or like what do you?
Oh, you're not going to pull a Sileo on me and load the question up. I'm leaving it open there for you, guy. That's for you to fill it in.
I appreciate that. I appreciate
yeah, look at him trying to play me up there like, hey, man, what's up with that? Very smartly done.
when it comes to Jalen Hurts, right? I say it all the time, and I've been pretty consistent with this. I don't know what his ceiling is. I know what the floor is.
Bad?
I know what the floor is, but I don't know what the ceiling is. And that's,
are you optimistically saying that, or are you pessimistically saying that?
You're good. I'm saying that optimistically.
Okay.
Optimistically, yeah. I don't know what his ceiling is, but I definitely know what the floor is.
Do you? Last 3 years have been 3 different seasons.
But remember, you said it earlier. First year, first year starter. You know, we kind of, we fill that out.
You give him, he's building his everything.
I look at it like this, right? I feel like the first year starting for a quarterback allows them to establish a baseline. And I think that's what he established in 2021, a baseline. At bare minimum, he's a 9-8 quarterback that can get you to a wild card.
Issue here with our guy Tone here.
You got me?
Hopefully we can get him back here.
Testing. You got me?
Tone, you're skipping out on me a little bit here, my friend. Because that was a great one. Hopefully we're able to get him back in here.
Testing. You got me?
We're able to get this going here.
Testing,
that was good. That was, again, figuring him out will be the number one thing the organization has to do. And I'm talking about, again, Jalen Hurts, again, where you're looking at, okay, what's the ceiling on him? How far can you go with him? I think that's going to be an important question that you have to ask.
You got me, Sills?
Okay. What is the ceiling here? So
testing. You got
Carl
me?
says it's not a rebuild. Carl, it's total rebuild. It's a complete rebuild because your defense is absolutely not going anywhere. It's a complete rebuild. Tony, there, brother? There you go.
So you got me?
Got you. So,
all right. So yeah, where were we? Oh, right, the ceiling.
We're having issues again here.
I'm not sure what's going on. I'm not getting any issues on my side.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Testing.
Some issues here with this. It's all good. Tone was up. There you go.
You got me?
Man, you better, hey, those Texas folks, man, better get that grid going.
You got me? You got me now? Oh, man. Here we go.
It ain't me. I'm good. Ain't me. No. It's like, let's see here. Yeah, I think that maybe some of you are getting a little upset here with some of the things that he and I are saying here.
Testing, you got me?
Yeah. It's a total retool. I completely agree with you, Luke. 49ers about to get exposed in the Super Bowl. You can't wait. Really? You mean like the 49ers exposed you like that? That's what you're talking? Because the 49ers exposed you. I know, Barb, isn't it? Let's see if my friend Tone is good to go.
You got me, Sills?
I got you, brother.
All right, let's see if it holds up.
Let's see if it holds up.
All right.
Ceiling for Hurts.
So yeah, what's the last thing I said? Basically, I'm not sure. I'm optimistically saying I don't know what his ceiling is, but I know what the floor is. At bare minimum, he's a 9-8 quarterback that can get you to a playoff wild card. At bare minimum, he established that base in year 1 as a starter. Year 2, he showed you that he can get to a Super Bowl. Granted, that situation was perfect, but he made it to the Super Bowl.
He did.
Year three, wild card exit. So right now, again, we've experienced the floor twice, and by my estimation. So can he be better than that? I think he can, because I've seen the heights of which it can go. That's how I look at it.
So 22 is his ceiling.
Yeah, but he got to finish the
There's
job.
nothing wrong with that. He
Right.
He was close to
Right.
winning the MVP.
Right.
And he's
his ceiling in terms of resume, right? Getting to a Super Bowl. I think statistically, he can be better, but ultimately, I feel like this is what we're going to see. We're going to see a guy who flirts around with 25, 28 passing touchdowns, maybe 10 rushing. That's going to be his resume. That's going to be his standard, you know, in terms of just the scoring aspect of it.
You said something important, though, Tone. He had everything perfect in 22. Coaching.
He did.
Players. Last year he didn't.
Right, 2023,
So
nothing was perfect.
We're assuming, like you said, we don't know about more.
Right.
So going into the 24 season, here's where we are. Will Jalen, here's the question marks.
Right.
Will Jalen stop the turnovers? Will he
I
be
think he
a
will.
better
To answer that question,
reader?
I think he will.
Will he be a better reader of defenses? Will he pick blitzes up better? These were all problems that he had in 23.
That's why I think this year, that's why I'm bringing in Kellen Moore. Although we have our questions about it, one thing I could definitively say about him, he has a proven track record of beating blitzes. Proven. Even in that turbulent situation with the Chargers last year, they were one of the better teams against the blitz. So the bottom line is all the onus, and me and John talked about this last night on Football 24/7. All the onus is on Jalen Hurts now. Can you take your game to the next level? Can you respond to the blitz? If Jalen Hurts enters this season and throughout it continues to struggle with the blitz, Houston, we have a problem. No pun intended. Houston, we have a problem.
So I saw you in the private chat to me, and you think the Belichick story is a bullshit story, don't you?
I look at it like this.
So you don't think they entertained at all anybody in replacing him?
Well, remember, we talked about this plenty of times, and you didn't even believe that.
No,
that's even the kind of coach that they would even think about because of how
what
they
I
move.
said, you're either going to stay the course or you're going to pivot.
Right.
I think this was the pivot conversation, and when the pivot conversation didn't take, how about this? I don't know how serious the pivot conversation was,
and that's where I'm at.
In a phone call, Bill, because reportedly the Cowboys did it too.
Right,
so,
that's true.
And listen, one thing about Greg, I'll tell you something about.
And
Greg
I'm not saying that to discredit him as a reporter. I'm more so just saying it as I just don't think I don't believe them when they even say I don't believe the Eagles when they make that call. You know what I mean? Like if I'm Bill Belichick, I'm like, really?
I'm quoting a guy who blocks me on Twitter.
Hey, that says a lot about you.
Because you know why? He and I had it out when I was on the air in Boston.
Right.
But I do know his work. And if you go to he's blocked me. And me
I respect that about you. Regardless of the relationship, you're not going to sit here and discredit the guys. I respect that.
No, the guy's
I respect
credible.
that.
The guy is a professional.
I very much respect that.
He's a professional, and he says that he's even a strong. See, the media people are looking at Bill going, he didn't get a job. Huh? Bill's value.
I'm not looking at it like that. You know, I think
his value's going up.
I think Bill Belichick's looking at it like, oh well, you know, no rush.
You don't want to pay me 28 in full control?
Oh, okay, no rush.
Good luck to you on your first year, guys.
Yeah, like I honestly feel like Bill's looking at it like, no rush. It's okay.
That's
right. There's always gonna be a job.
Hey, I got 60 million coming to me, and I've made over 150 million. It's not like I have to sit with my hand out here.
Exactly.
You know, he could always do this too. How'd you like me to be your general manager, or how'd you like me to be in charge of your entire organization football wise, like Bill Parcells was with Miami.
Mm-hmm.
There's organizations that would hire him anyway. So I think I think this is where, remember when I was going like this to you, pivot, stay the course.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were dual tracking it. Okay. If we replace Nick, can't just replace Nick with Raheem Morris. We got to. This is a guy that's been to the playoffs 3 years in a row,
and that was my logic. I thought if they were going to replace Nick, they had to go big.
Like Vrabel.
They had to go big, and when they realized they couldn't go big, matter of fact, I put it like this.
And plus, they didn't want to pay the 28.
Listen, now we're starting to get into conspiracy theory territory, right? I'm looking at this like listen. I'm looking at this like it's House of Cards. You know what I think? I think before they even enter those conversations with Nick, when it came to exit interviews, with the owner and Howie and
That's
all
why
those
it took
guys.
him a week.
I believe, I'm willing to believe this. They knew Nick would play ball. They knew he would. They knew he had no leverage to stand on. They played chicken with him.
And they took that whole week to have a conversation with Bill.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
it
also,
took them 8 days.
And also what they did was, I think they wanted to let him, I think they also wanted to let Sirianni roast too. You know how you let something just simmer, let it sit for a little bit, kind of build up that
Tracer muscle?
yeah,
Tighten
just a little bit.
tracer muscle up a little bit? Is that what you said?
Think about it. You ever seen those movies where
Oh, I know.
somebody
It's
goes
like
in and
waiting
meets
to be
somebody?
executed.
Yeah, the mob boss let you sit for a little bit, let you stew, and then you bring him in. I think they knew Sirianni would play ball. I think they knew.
They did.
And then
he was hired under that premise.
Right. And guess what? I'm willing to say this too, because we didn't get a chance to touch on this yesterday. Not only do I think Sirianni is a lame duck head coach, I also believe they already hired his replacement. But we just don't realize it yet. But I have. I think that this is the game plan.
It could be Bill.
I think this is the game plan. I think if things start off shaky next year, let's just say they're 3-4 or 4-4. Let's just say they're 3-4, right?
Moore's the interim or Vic Fangio's the interim coach the rest of the year.
I think Nick gets booted. Kellen becomes the interim. Based on how that season ends, will determine if he gets the head coaching job. I'm telling you, the Eagles are habitually known for hedging their bets. They do not make any move without a parachute attached. I'm telling you, pay attention. Not you, but the people.
They've pivoted.
They are watching Nick like a hawk.
Listen,
he better not slip.
Chip Kelly hire. Fuck the name Chip Kelly. But Chip Kelly, the hire, is a course directional change.
Correct.
That they're willing to do. That would mean this. Howie Roseman working with Belichick makes it an easier sell to Howie than say, hey, you're going to have to work with Mike Vrabel. You're going to be okay with that because you're talking about one of the great personnel people ever and one of the greatest coaches
especially in defense.
And the thing he's weak at is defense. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Howie is the offensive guy because they know trades. They've done a great job in the Lions. They've got Stoutland.
Mm-hmm.
They're good on that side of the ball. Bill's going to build. Dude, guess what? Bill built that defense up in New England with second, third, and fourth, and fifth rounders. That's what the Eagles lack. They lack personnel direction on defense, and they always have.
Right. Let me ask you this question real quick before I get out of here. When it comes to the defense, how many players are you keeping?
I'm keeping Milton Williams.
Or how many players are worth keeping to you? Let me say
on defense?
Yeah, on defense.
Okay. I'm going to keep Josh Sweat. I'm going to keep Reddick. I'm going to keep Davis. I'm going to keep Carter. I'm going to keep Milton Williams. I'm going to keep Fletcher Cox. I don't want any of those linebackers. I'm stuck with Dean. He's on a rookie deal. I'm keeping Reed Blankenship. But if Reed Blankenship is starting for me, my safety position is still in trouble. The corners, I have to remember the money. Now, do I want them? No. But do I have to want them? Damn. I'm stuck with one of them.
I think they're going to take the Bradbury hit.
Okay. But now if we're just going starters, take those away. If we're going starters.
Yeah, keep it starters. Let's do that.
Okay. Sweat, Carter, Davis, Blankenship. I'll ask you, what corner you want?
I'm keeping Slay.
Okay. That's all I'll keep too.
He has so much money attached to him. I'm keeping him.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Bradbury, I'll eat that. I'll defer it. Kick the bucket down the road.
Yep.
So
That's lucky.
So what is that? 4 players? 5 players?
Yep. 4 players.
You need 11 starters. So therefore, the Philadelphia Eagles got to find a way to find 6 quality starters. We're not even talking Pro Bowlers. We're talking about 6 competent starters.
You got to look for 6 guys to make your defense respectable.
We're not even talking about top 10.
No,
we're talking about respectable. Respectable is top 15.
Yeah.
That's respectable.
Shit, I'll take 17. Give me anything respectable.
Right. You know what I mean? I was saying, when it comes to that defense, if they can find a way to just get top. Okay, there are 14 teams that make the playoffs total every year. If they can have a 14th ranked defense or better, just 14th. If you can have a playoff level defense, that's how I look at it. 14 teams make it. Okay, that means 14 of those teams. Those 14 teams have a somewhat playoff level defense. If you can get a playoff level defense, which is the baseline, ranked 14th, I can roll with that because I know it's going to take time to get yourself in that top 10, top 5 area. So if you can, in 1 year's time, go from what we just saw to being top 14 at bare minimum, 14th exactly, I think that was a successful offseason. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I do. But do you think there's any coincidence that the 2 teams that are in the Super Bowl are top 10 defenses?
No coincidence at all. I'm recognizing. You asked me earlier, do I think this is a rebuild? Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you will not be if you're 15th defensively with your offensive talent, you're a second round playoff team getting bounced in the divisional round.
Right.
You're not a Super Bowl contender.
Right. You may sneak into an NFC championship.
But your projection will be moving back in the what I'm
trying to do. I'm trying to change the trend.
You have to get that needle going from down to back up again.
Yes. And that's my goal for this offseason.
Yes.
And we need to shift the direction of the needle. Because right now the needle was trending down.
Let me ask you this. Packers needle, down or up?
Up.
Lions.
Up.
Niners.
That thing is sitting at the top of the needle.
You know, they got 11 draft choices.
They got 11 draft picks this year?
Yeah.
And
they got 11 draft picks this year.
They're not going to have to worry about paying Purdy for the next
2 more years, or this year, or 1 more.
So he signed he's a 7th rounder, so he has 4 years on the contract. This was the second year.
He's got 2 more years. Oh no, he's got 1 in another year.
Yeah, after this upcoming season, they got to make a decision.
Okay, wait a minute. He's first year last year was his first year of a 4-year deal.
Yes.
Holy shit, that guy's got 2 more years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, from what I understand, at the end of next year, going into the new start of the season,
they got to either decide they're going to pay him.
They can give him an extension, I think.
Yes. He's eligible for an extension after the 2024 season.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, that begs the question: are they going to? What's going to be their approach? Are they going to
bonus money
extend him in the off season of that, or are they going to send him into the final year of the deal?
No, they won't do that.
I don't think they will either.
Especially if he wins the Super Bowl.
If he wins it, they're gonna figure it out.
Yeah, because you know why? You're not going to send a
guy.
But
also, let me ask you this: you said it earlier, right? I can get further with a guy like Brock Purdy and build up my roster. What's stopping the Niners from saying, "Well, we trust our formula"? Purdy, okay, you got us there, you want it, but remember, I'm
with you.
You know,
because
I'm trying
they've
proven that they could do it with 2 different quarterbacks.
Look at that quarterback position and go, isn't Purdy Garoppolo?
That's something they're asking themselves. And
now,
don't let him.
But you also turn around and go, you did fuck up the Trey Lance deal.
So do you think them messing that up will make them a little bit more trigger happy on his deal?
Make them more cheaper at that position. Because look what they've done, Tone. If this kid goes into that game next Sunday and delivers that Super Bowl at $870,000, and you still got 2 more years of cap freedom to maneuver around and get whatever you need to continue to improve your roster, that formula that they have, they're going to be a juggernaut for the next 10 years because they're going to recoup all 3 of those ones. And I asked the question earlier, wouldn't you surrender 3 first-round draft choices for cap integrity, cap balance, roster balance, and you don't have to pay your quarterback for 3 years, and he won you a Super Bowl? Isn't that worth 3 ones?
Listen, ask the Rams. The Rams traded everything for that Super Bowl, and guess what? They don't care. Look where they are now. They're back in the mix. So,
And
yeah,
they're trending back up again.
They're trending. You asked me earlier, are the Packers on the way up? Yes. Are the Rams on the way up? Yes.
Yeah. Where do you think the Bucks are?
I think the Bucks are tricky. They're tricky because I want to say they're on the way up, but I feel like
you got a lot of money. I
feel like Baker Mayfield,
Mike Evans too. That's a problem for me.
It's a problem for me too, and I also think Baker Mayfield has a limit, has a limitation.
He's limited.
So I feel like
they're like a 9-8 team, aren't they? They're gonna hang in there.
They're stuck in the mud.
Yeah,
they're stuck in the mud.
Yeah, like that. That's right. That's Do you think the Giants are trending up or down?
The Giants, they're stuck in the swamp. They're not just stuck in the mud. They're stuck in the swamp. They're not trending up at all. Say it again.
What about the Commanders?
Another team that's tricky because I don't even know who their coach is. And I don't even know if they're going to go another year with Sam Howell. This is a lot of unknowns. I think they're a team that's I can't say they're trending up. I can't say that.
How about this question?
I can't say that.
When we're talking about Hurts and the money and Dak,
Mm-hmm.
if you're Arizona, with all those draft choices you have coming up this year, high picks too, right? You got 2 ones that are really high. You got a boatload of draft equity. It's got to get to a point where you do this, a Murray. Like right now, Murray's not getting a second contract.
At this rate, yeah, you're right.
He's not. So what you have to do is you got to take full advantage of this right now, or get this. You're back in the quarterback sweepstakes in 2 years.
You know what I'm doing? I'm in this draft, right? If I can, I'm drafting Brock Bowers in the first round. If I can, I'm either drafting him or Marvin Harrison Jr. Whoever I can get my hands on. I'm drafting one of them.
Tight end, because now the tight end is becoming more of a force,
and it's cheaper than a wide receiver.
Right? You don't have to pay. Right? That's right.
So,
and what else is the most important thing on that is that the linebacking cores in the NFL,
they're not conditioned for those
dominant as corner positions are in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going against quality linebacking each and every single year.
Exactly.
Or game. You're going against guys like the Eagles.
You know what I would do if I was Arizona? You know, I'm going to load up on offense, obviously, to give my guy a fair shot.
Yeah, give him a shot.
But what I'm doing, I'm drafting a quarterback in that 5th, 6th round. I'm drafting a quarterback, and I'm just going to continue to groom his ass. And the moment, if I even got a feeling that
is he going to look like Murray, or is he going to be a 7-step guy?
That's a good question. I feel like these days,
building the roster for Murray, I think you have to draft a guy like Murray,
or at least close.
You don't want that transition to be
not exactly like him, but someone that's mobile. You know what I mean? Somebody that's mobile, because like
Herbert.
Herbert's mobile, but he's a pocket guy. Does that make sense? Like, you know, he's a mobile. He can move. You know, so that's what I'm trying to. That's what I'm aiming for. So again, if I'm done, I'm hedging my bet and I'm drafting the quarterback for the next 2 years to figure out who I'm drafting the quarterback 5th or 6th round. I'm drafting him.
Where do you think the Eagles fit in the NFC?
We talked about this, right? We ranked them. Rob has them ranked 6th in the NFC. I have them ranked 7th. Jeff Kerr has them ranked about 6th as well. So everybody I've talked to has them ranked about 6th or 7th in the NFC right now.
So 5 seed.
I guess that is a 5 seed, isn't it? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it's a 5 or 6 seed. Yeah.
So they're like down there at the, like I said, they're a divisional round game kind of team right now.
I'll say wild card.
No, I mean like they get to a divisional game.
Okay, yeah. They can get there. They can fall on one, I guess.
Not with that. You know what? Then I say that and I go like this: Sills, that defense, really? They can't
beat.
They can't beat Drew Lock.
That's why I was like, you mean wild card?
No, you're right. You're right. I got to back that up. I'm being more optimistic.
See, look at you. Look at you.
You know what this comes really down to, Tone? 2 things. There's 2 questions. 1, can Jalen Hurts elevate his game to where when we start paying him, I can have more of a structural balance in my cap where I'm getting rid of AJ and I'm still going to Super Bowls like Kansas City?
Mm-hmm.
And do I trust Howie Roseman in the college draft?
Yeah. It's interesting. Every question you brought up is some things you have to consider. But do you think, and I want you, and I'm asking you this generally, not rhetorically or nothing, like, do you think it's fair? And I understand they're the Chiefs are the gold standard. They are the platinum standard. You know what I mean? But do you think it's fair to the rest of the NFL to compare the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes situation do you think it's fair to everybody else to compare them to that?
Okay, here again, I'm not really comparing Jalen Hurts to Patrick Mahomes. What I'm comparing is this. Would you rather spend the next 5 years looking for the needle in the haystack in Mahomes, or would you rather build your football team like the 49ers and like the Eagles did last year? Would you rather go down that structural way of having a balanced cap, a balanced roster, and you're not paying the quarterback? Because at the end of the day, Buffalo, Dallas, potentially Philly, Arizona, all the money that you have spent on that quarterback have
Cincinnati.
brought you nothing, and you spent $500 million doing it.
Yeah.
Whereas you had the Niners that are consistently going to be in the conversation of a winning team, and you have teams that are building their football team and their roster. They're not building just and taking pieces away. Dallas has to consistently take pieces away. We're talking about losing AJ because we got to pay Landon and Devontae. They're not having that conversation in San Francisco.
Okay, I think I get what you're saying.
So you know what I'm saying? I'm not really comparing him to Mahomes.
Right.
But what I am comparing to is that the Kansas City Chiefs have so much faith in Mahomes that they could take pieces off their team, knowing that he's a legitimate $50 million a year guy, and he can carry a club, whomever's in the huddle. Whereas I heard, and I love Bill. Bill does a nice job on our network too. I heard Bill say, I'd like to get another big-time number 3. I'm like, so what else do you want to give the guy? What do you want to do? Drive him to work too? How much more do you want to do for the kid before we start sitting here going, when can he do it by himself? Because like Brady, check it out. Brady had a great defense, had great talented guys around him. All of a sudden, as Brady got older, Brady was throwing to Amendola, Wes Welker, who was a trade with the Dolphins, and Amendola. And they found Gronk in the second round. I mean, dude, they were throwing to people who are never going to be considered for Hall of Fame status. They were really good players, but not great players. But Brady could carry a team. They were losing players consistently. Belichick was putting money on the defensive side of the ball and in the O-line. That's how they were building that dynasty up.
If I'm understanding you correctly, basically what you're saying is because a Tom Brady and a Patrick Mahomes is so far in between, because they're such an anomaly, when you're building a team, you shouldn't try to find those guys. You should focus because they're so limited, because it's so hard. You should focus your energy building your team.
Yeah.
And then plugging in a guy to see if he fits, rather than just searching, lo and behold, all across the world looking for a quarterback and then locking yourself into one that you're really not sure about.
Who do you think has a better team going into the Super Bowl on Sunday, San Francisco or Kansas City?
San Francisco.
Okay, well, you're paying $500 million to the quarterback for a reason.
No, I get it.
Okay,
so, so you're looking at it as those. Because based on what I'm hearing is you're against. Mahomes. Right. So basically what you're saying is you're against, and this isn't just the Eagles thing. Now we're talking NFL. Yeah. You're against the culture of paying quarterbacks because you feel like you have to.
No,
because I think you and Jason Cole had this conversation a lot.
That you're searching for Patrick Mahomes and you're never going to find it.
Right, because I think you and Jason Cole have this conversation all the time, right? Jason Cole, if I'm not mistaken, he errs on the side of, look, sometimes you just got to pay the guy. And you're on the side of no, I'm not just going to pay a guy.
Do you want to pay Dak Prescott $60 million a year?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, why should I then? Because it's the market value? Fuck that. I want to build my team back up again.
So it's a philosophy. It's a philosophy difference.
Philosophical mentality. I got to pay CD and Micah Parsons.
I can respect that because at the end of the day, you're not saying, oh, it was a mistake to pay Jalen Hurts. You're
No.
saying what you're saying is philosophically, I view this position differently.
Do you not agree? Watch this. Okay. This fundamentally, Tone, did the Derek Carr $40 million deal work out?
No.
Is the Arizona Cardinal $46.1 million deal working out so far?
No.
Okay. Has Josh Allen been to an AFC championship game yet? Has he got the team to a Super Bowl? He may have gotten to an AFC title game, but has he gotten to a Super Bowl yet since he's been there?
No.
That's
He's talented. But no, you're right.
Not fair with Herbert because he just got paid. And Burrow's been to the Super Bowl. We'll find out a little more about him when T. Higgins and Joe Mixon are on that.
Herbert, Burrow, and Hurts and Lamar all just got paid. But I look at Lamar differently too.
How about Daniel Jones's contract? Do you think that thing's going to pan out, that $40 million?
No.
My point is, the majority of those $40 to $50 million contracts, 90% of them aren't going to work, which means what? You're going to spend 10 years of your time as a GM searching for Patrick Mahomes when I could have took that $300 million,
built the team up,
and I could have built the team up
and developed a
third or fourth Super Bowl with a guy making less than $1 million,
and developed a third or fourth rounder into being competent enough to listen. Your philosophy is not. Well, it's not crazy.
But don't you think the odds of me building my team up are better than finding Mahomes?
Yes, I do. I think you have I think you have stronger odds of building a strong roster. I'll put you this way. I think you have better odds of building an elite roster than finding an elite quarterback.
See, Yale goes like this right here. He says it's not easy to build it up. Okay, you're right. It's not easy to build it up. But it's almost impossible to find Brady and Mahomes.
And
think about this. Tone, look at Brady. The NFL missed on Brady, including the Patriots, 5 times. They didn't know what greatness looked like at that position. Think about that. 5 times, 32 teams passed on Tom Brady, including the New England Patriots.
And also,
the greatest player at the position in the history of the sport. You don't know what that thing looks like.
Yeah.
And for people to sit there and go, well, Hurts is the next guy, or Allen's the next guy, you're fucking high.
Yeah. And also, to that point about it's hard to build up a roster. Sure. But this
I have a better chance to do that.
This goes back. We're talking about odds, right?
Yes.
And guess what?
You're playing the long run here.
Right. And also, and although it may be difficult to build a roster, which are still, though, you have significantly more bullets in that gun than you do trying to aim for a white whale.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. What you're trying to do, Tone, you're waiting every 75 years for Halley's Comet.
And you grew up on a boat. There are people who wait millennia for that white whale to pop up above the water. Meanwhile, you got other guys who are out there catching the blue ones and all that, and they still
you know who else? The people that play the lottery every week is like trying to find Patrick Mahomes.
I'm glad you said that. The people that it's funny. Trying to find Patrick Mahomes is like playing the lottery every week. But building your roster up, you know what that is? That's going to work every week.
Yeah.
That's going to work every day.
Doing your job.
That's doing, sure, you're going to have the good days and the bad days, and every day you can't bet on being good, but guess what? That paycheck going to clear. Whereas though the lottery, that's not guaranteed funds.
Look at how many of those players.
It's interesting. It's something that should be considered in the NFL, because if Brock Purdy wins this Super Bowl, I think it's going to turn it. I think it's going to turn that not your philosophy, but I think it's going to turn that on its head.
People turned it around last year, paying Hurts 1.5.
Yeah, they made it to a Super Bowl.
He went to the Super Bowl making $1 million, $1.5 million last year,
and then they paid him, and they changed the course of everything.
And the defense got hijacked on the money. Because Howie robbed that side of the ball.
And that's why you felt like they should have waited.
Now, again, the cap hits are phenomenal. So
they are.
Probably,
they are.
You know what? If I had to take that back, I probably might take that back, because my cap hits are nothing for 3 years when it comes to context of the quarterback. And if I'm bitching about the money, that's more of a me thing. Maybe I would like to have seen it in season. I give him the contract week 8, something like that. But still, like, I'll tell you what, if they hadn't paid him, Tone, and he had got to week 8, he still would have been paid because they were 10-1.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Let me ask you this though,
And
right?
it would have cost them more.
This is what we should do, right? Because you bring up a very good point. This is what I think we should do. I think we should look at these quarterbacks' contracts, right, and review their cap hits, because what it can do, it can give us perspective on, okay, just how bad or good is that Jalen Hurts contract.
How about this one here before you go on? Look at that Deshaun Watson deal there. So
Yes,
that
right
Deshaun
here.
Watson deal, click that thing on first. I want to see what the cap hits are because it's guaranteed fully. And I don't
Sure
know what
is.
the cap hit is on that.
All right, here we go. These are the details. So these are the cap hits. So in 2024, this is the cap hit for Deshaun Watson, $63.9 million.
Wow.
It makes that Jalen Hurts contract look like pennies.
$63 million of the cap of $240 million is in that contract. Man. Holy shit.
That shit is scary.
Dude, Myles Garrett or some of them dudes on that defensive side of the ball ain't going to be in Cleveland.
Exactly.
I'll tell you what, you want to get rid of that tight end you got? I hope Howie goes after that guy's ass because I'll take my boy from Miami.
David Njoku. So look, those cap hits, $63.9 million, right? So that's that, right? You know, again, to add perspective, Jalen Hurts' cap hit going into this season is going to be $13.5 million. That's Jalen Hurts' cap hit going into this season, $13.5 million, okay? So now watch this. Keep that in mind, $13.5 million. What's Joe Burrow's cap hit going into the upcoming season? Look at these cap hits for Joe Burrow. This is insane. In 2024, Joe Burrow's cap hit is $29.7 million. Jumps to 46, 48, 52, 53, 68.
On a 240 cap. I mean, folks, remember, salary cap is going to be 240 this year.
So again,
Goes up
Jalen Hurts.
18%.
And also keep in mind, Joe Burrow is much older than all these quarterbacks because he got out of college late.
5 years.
So, right. So Jalen Hurts' cap hit in 2024, $13.5 million.
24 now.
Joe Burrow,
No, he's 27.
he's 28. Joe Burrow's an old head.
What was this guy on a GI plan in college?
So look, $29 million.
He's only been in the league 3 years.
Exactly.
Was Joe Burrow 25 when he came into the league?
Joe Burrow was drafted at age, let's see here, previous contract. He's 27 now, experienced 3 years. He got into the league at 24, something like that.
Oh, most people come in the league at 21.
Exactly.
I mean,
So
okay, I'm like, holy shit.
now look at Justin Herbert's cap hit going into 2024. Not bad. $19.3 million for Justin Herbert. That's not that bad. $19.3 million for a cap hit.
No.
Then it jumps to 37, 46, 58, 71.
By 28, though, that cap could be near $300 million.
Exactly.
So it's not horrible.
So it's not horrible, but again, Jalen Hurts' cap hits are still a bit better than Herbert's.
Let me see Kyler Murray's.
I got you. Lamar Jackson.
Wait, let's look on Lamar's.
Lamar Jackson's cap hits. 2024, $32.4 million. Wow. 43. Then it jumps to 74.
Wait a second. Let me see. But see, right, that line says right there.
Potential
That's
out.
an evaluation period that both teams can opt out of this deal.
Exactly.
So again, if he's not living, I'll say this to you. If he continues his trend in the postseason, there's not a chance in hell he'll have that 27 money. No way. Don't jump out of that. You're not going to pay a guy $55 million.
It's the same thing for the Eagles. They got it out after the 4th year of the extension.
So 27, they can get out.
The Eagles can get out of this deal in 2028. In 2028, they can get out unscathed because the cap hit 13.5, 21.7, 31.7, 45.8. So far, Jalen Hurts has the best cap hits out of all the quarterbacks that signed. The same time he did. Let's go to Kyler Murray's, like you said. Kyler Murray's cap hits right now. So here we are. Kyler Murray. The first year of the deal took place this year. 51.8 million cap hit. Wow. Then it's 45.6. Then it's 55.5. Then 43.5. So
looking at what it says, zero dead cap. If they opt out of it.
Yep. If they can opt out in 2028 and they won't incur any dead cap. In my opinion, they can opt out in 2027 and the dead cap is only 7.2 million for a quarterback right here. Only 7.2 million in 20 and what is that?
They'll get out of that then if they
2027.
Yeah.
They can get out of it.
There.
Exactly. So
Tony, you think they paid Jalen too soon?
Because of everything I just read? No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Look at the guys that got the money here.
I don't think so.
Okay, Burrow, what I paid Burrow, yeah. You see what I'm going to do to all the guys that are on your list there? I'm going to give them one big time deal. And then you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to evaluate whether or not my second deal is going to go forward with you because to me, I'm going to readjust my take on this. I'll pay you, Jalen, but in 2 years, son, if we're going in the other direction and we're not trending in, as Jerry Jones says, we're not hanging around the basket and we're not, hanging around the rim there, I'm out.
Yeah, because look, listen to this, right? Let's be honest about this. Winning and getting to and winning a Super Bowl is extremely difficult, and it requires so many moving parts to be moving in sync. So I guess what I'm trying to say is when you find a guy that you believe has the talent base to get you to that point, you kind of got to pull the trigger on that before the money gets too out of hand. At least on the first contract, you have to, because again, if you found a guy that you believe, again, this is all about what you believe. Do you believe he has the talent to get you there? Because again, so many things have to happen for a Super Bowl to work.
I think the really great Tone, that's great. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and also not many teams are capable of taking advantage of that rookie window. It's so hard to do that.
Oh my God. That is the gem.
It's hard. It's hard. How many teams have done that in history?
The Eagles took advantage after 21.
They just couldn't win it. The big one. They were closest.
Coach. Okay? The coach.
They almost did it. They almost took advantage.
They almost did it, Tone.
Yeah.
However, you're dead on with that. But here, that gives you the whole picture here. He's there 8 years. 59.5 is due. Dude, unless you restructure that contract, far as I'm concerned, Dak Prescott's played his last down in Dallas unless we have a conversation. And Jerry's not, because the only reason that they'll bring him back is because Jerry's 81.
Do you think, remember, we talk about organizations taking advantage of the rookie window. The Cowboys haven't been able to do that.
Ever.
Right?
Except for Aikman. Oh, they didn't have a captain, so no.
Right. So they've never been able to do it. And it's hard for teams to do it, right? Would you say the Philadelphia Eagles, although things happened the way they happened, do you think it's fair to say that the Philadelphia Eagles took advantage of the rookie window of Carson Wentz? I say yes, because although he's no longer here, his talent put you in position to win it, and you got it.
Here's what I'll say.
But you still ended up paying it.
Short period, yes. But like San Francisco's going to take advantage of that Brock Purdy contract for a long period, they're going to have at least 5 years of being able to maneuver
flexibility.
around with that. So they only had like 2.5.
Yeah, and
because
also
in 3 years you won 4 games.
Yep, and on top of that, another person could argue, well, did they really take advantage of Carson Wentz's window because they still ended up paying him? If they never would have paid him,
I'm paying.
He got that super.
Guy gives me home field advantage, and I win a Super Bowl.
No,
that
but
whole thing was
I feel you on that. But what I'm saying is, right, because we know what we know. One person could probably argue, okay, they took advantage of it to an extent. They still ended up paying him. Now, if the Eagles would have found a way to get that Super Bowl and avoid paying him for an additional year, they would have made out like bandits. You drafted a guy, he put you in position to win the Super Bowl, and you ended up not even paying him because he crapped the bed eventually. They would have made out like bandits. But like you've been saying, they tend to jump the gun a little bit.
Here, let me show you the greatest moment in Bill Belichick's career. And I've kind of broached this with you, but I think it's important when you're talking about taking advantage of that. And on the court, see, the quarterback and the money in the quarterback is essential. And how and what direction are you going to go? Are you going to go like the Niners, or are you going to pay like Mahomes in Kansas City?
Mm-hmm.
There's a directional. The year previous, and I want to lay it out one last time for you here. The year previous, they gave Bledsoe $117 million. And they gave him an $18 million signing bonus. He gets hurt in the Jets game. And they put Brady in. And Brady was making $650,000. They put him in. Doesn't play exceptionally well. But the big thing that Belichick liked about him, he never had a bad game on a previous bad game. He kept getting better as it went on.
Right.
So they got into the offseason. They got to the AFC Championship game. Brady got hurt. They put Bledsoe back in. Bob Kraft, everyone in the organization, including Scott Pioli, all said, you got to leave the experienced guy in. You're going to the Super Bowl. Belichick goes, no. He had to go to his owner and go,
convince him.
You know that $25 million signing bonus you gave him and all the incentives that are owed to him? I'm going with the $600,000 guy. And get this, that owner, Bob Kraft, had to go like this. Holy shit, why'd we give that money to that guy?
Let's really put our
call, Bill.
Let's really put ourselves in that moment.
Let me finish. He goes like this.
I like where you're going with this. Bill, this is exciting.
He goes like this. Bill, this is your fucking call. You're telling me we spent $50 million on a guy who's not going to start my Super Bowl, who just won the AFC title game for me. Yes. The rest is history.
I don't think people understand the weight of that decision. That decision to go into your owner's office and say, you know what? I know we're paying this guy this amount, and I know he won the AFC Championship for us because Brady got hurt, but I'm going with this guy. That decision makes or breaks careers.
And he didn't have this. Well, he's a first rounder and he's a sixth rounder. He didn't give a shit. He went with the best guy on the roster who he felt moving forward. And then you know what Belichick did with a brass set of nuts the next year? He traded him to the Bills inside the AFC East. And he went like this. I don't think you can beat me.
And guess what? Proved it.
He didn't. And so Kraft looks at him going like this.
You know how much equity that buys you with the You know how much equity that buys you within the organization?
You know where he learned that? I'm gonna tell you where he learned that. He learned
what school does he come from? What school?
It was a smaller school.
No, but what I mean, I mean as far as
Amherst.
No, I mean as far as like his coaching tree. What tree does he come from?
It was the Giants. He was there with Romeo Crennel, Ray Perkins, Bill Belichick. He was there with Charlie Weiss, all them guys who were there.
So who would you say was Belichick? Everyone has like a mentor,
Parcells.
Right? Parcells?
Yeah, but this is where he learned that in the decision-making at the quarterback and other positions, moving off of Darrelle Revis or Richard Seymour. So in Cleveland, you got to remember, I'm very close to the Cleveland scenario with Belichick because why? The quarterback decision that he made were both teammates of mine. They were Vinny Testaverde and Bernie Kosar. Kosar was Youngstown, Ohio legend, had led the team to 4 AFC titles. He was a legend. Testaverde was, in my opinion, the better athlete. But if I had to pick a quarterback to win a game, I'm picking Bernie, and Bernie all day long. He is just a winner. Bill went with the athlete and said, Testaverde's got a bigger arm, he's stronger, he's younger, and it blew up in his face, and he got fired in Cleveland.
And he told himself he'll never make that same mistake
Never
again.
make that mistake again based on ability and athleticism.
Wow.
He was going to go with the winner. So Bill learned from that situation and that failure in Cleveland. The year previous, they made the playoffs. And guess who was on that staff? Saban was his D coordinator.
Now let me ask you this. Do you believe, and again, this goes back, I'm bringing this full circle
Holy
to the
shit,
jump.
man, we've been going on here for a bit here. I didn't even realize it.
But we're cooking and we're having fun. You know what I mean? Like, here's the thing, real quick, before we take our break. That begs the question, because I want to bring it full circle. Do you think the Philadelphia Eagles look at Jalen Hurts and say, we paid you because we believe you're a winner. Forget the stats and the big arm and all that. We paid you because we believe that you're a winner. Because that's been the one thing Jalen Hurts has staked his claim on, or that we've done, right? That's how we're gauging him.
I don't think their actions show me that they think that he's special. And I'll tell you why. I mean, well, wait a minute. So they didn't put a quality coordinator around him. They leaned on him. So they had to think he could overcome that. So they had to have believed it. But I think they lost, and Jalen lost some equity with them because he couldn't overcome the inexperience at the coordinator position, and that he truly needed a legitimate play caller. And Nick is not a good play caller. So I think he lost equity with them, not as a person. It's not an indictment as a person. I think they thought that he could overcome.
They overestimated him a little bit.
Brady overcame all the coordinator changes. And get this, Mahomes overcame the enemy not being there.
That's true. People don't talk about that enough.
But they wobbled a bit this year. But they still found themselves later in the year.
Yes.
So I think they thought Jalen would find himself in that bad run, and he never did. And he couldn't overcome it. And I think he lost equity. Okay?
I think that's reasonable to assume.
But I don't think they've lost faith.
Yeah. That's different.
I think they've lost some equity that he can overcome his own issues if there's not good people around him. Because quite frankly, Tone, everybody is still around him talent-wise. It was the people that were giving him the intel to approach a game within game play calling situations, situational play calling, down and distance, not seeing blitzes. All of that became something that rolled downhill on him, and he couldn't overcome it. I think he lost some equity in that room with them, and that's why you're seeing such a bum rush of all these assistant coaches coming in here that have high-end dude, have you seen some of these resumes they're looking at with these guys coming in here? Yeah. These are not just fucking coaches. These are guys who are the top line guys. I mean, it's like they went from the dollar store to Neiman Marcus in one day.
That tells me that screams to me they feel the pressure. They feel the pressure to get him right fast.
Because they don't want to get it wrong twice with another guy. Because I think Jeffrey Lurie said something to Howie. Now I'm projecting on this. That I think that he said, we can't get this guy right.
Because if we do, it's your ass.
Because it's your ass. That's right. Because this is going to come down to Howie messing this up here. And this is why I don't want Nick in the room. I think Nick clouds Jalen's judgment moving forward. Because I don't want to worry about saving my head coach's job. I want to worry about winning games. And get this, when you leave a guy like this is my ass with leaving him in the building. With you leaving him in there, I don't fucking want to care about saving my coach's job.
I don't want that to be a conversation.
I don't want that to be a thing.
I don't think they realize that by keeping him in the building with all these changes, you're inviting so many questions, so heat.
And you're not giving yourself any latitude or any margin of error.
Right.
It creates a thing.
And that's my problem. They're always 1 foot in, 1 foot out with things. Make a decision and commit. It's the same thing with Sean Desai. You demote, just fire him.
Amen. Same thing with Howie in the broom closet.
Just fire him. If you didn't, just fire him. You done took everything away from him but the damn job.
See, like I said, Tone, like you keep him in the building. Okay, gee, man, we didn't win this game against the Giants. We lost. Now you're going to hear the questions about your coach getting canned. And you're going to hear all that shit. Man, I don't want that stuff in my locker room, man. I mean, I want to hear this. You guys got beat by the Giants. You guys played shitty. We got to pick it up and let's play. Yeah. What about your coach? You think your coach is going to get canned? Hey, you think the Nick Sirianni's on a – I want to talk about Washington next week, not about my coach's job.
Yep.
It creates another thing.
But guess what? They had to choose, right? I'm glad you said that. They had to choose. Or do we want to deal with the potential problem with Nick Sirianni being on the hot seat all 2024? Or do we want to have to answer the questions of, wow, you guys keep firing these coaches that win a lot of games? They chose, in their mind, the lesser of two evils. They felt like they could handle Nick Sirianni being on the hot seat. Because you want to know why? They don't have to answer those questions.
Let me ask.
They got to answer the questions when it comes to firing a guy that wins games. But they putting the onus on Nick. See, they're always protecting themselves. They're very good at this. They're very good at it.
I'll ask you one last question here.
Yes.
Do you think Jeffrey Lurie wanted Sirianni back?
Yeah, because it's his decision.
Do you think Howie wanted Nick Sirianni back?
Nope. No, I don't. No, I don't.
So
whatever Jeffrey says goes. Whatever Jeffrey says goes. Remember how I said they were playing chicken with him. If he would have went to those meetings and not play ball, he would have lost his job. But they knew he would play ball.
Do you think Jeffrey Lurie asked Howie if he wanted Nick back? Or do you think he just made that decision without asking him?
There's no way he made a decision without even talking to Howie Roseman. And I'm not saying that like Jeffrey answered to him.
They didn't have a conversation. I'm talking about directly asking him, hey, Howie, do you want him back? Because you know what it does? If he says no and Nick says yeah, or Jeffrey says yes, you create conflict with the owner and GM. That's why I think the owner didn't ask him. He asked him what he thought.
Or
it's an open-ended question.
Or he did ask him, but Howie is a slickster. He knows how to.
Yeah.
He knows how to.
Or Howie did what Nick did. Of course I do. Whatever you guys need.
Yeah.
Go along, get along.
Everybody want to be on the bus, but don't want to change no flat tires.
That's why I go back and ask you this question: you trust the people around Hurts? When you got yes people walking around the room going like this, yes. What's this? So this is what you got.
Question.
You got guys in there, Nick Sirianni, and you got Howie Roseman in there going, whatever you need, man, I'm ready to go for you. Yes, sir. You let me know here. You need your door open? I'm ready to rock. What do you want on your dinner plate? Peas or do you want corn? I mean, come on, man. These guys are like servants.
This is and then you wonder why. You asked me a question earlier. One of the first things you asked me today, or you said to me, Tony, you're angry, aren't you? And guess what? Yeah, I am.
I don't know if I helped that out at all today.
No, but all this stuff intrigues me because at the end of the day, man, I care about this football team. And I'm all about getting it right. I don't care about getting it done quickly. I want to get the job right and make sure it's sustainable. That's what I care about.
And people have a set of balls.
That part, because I know I do. So,
you think the Eagles have a set of balls?
I think the problem is they can't. I think the problem is they can't commit to their own balls. They can't commit. That's the problem.
Well, We're below the belt now, so I'm going to get out of this. And hey, Tone, absolutely great. We got cooking in that thing.
Listen, man, it's always a great conversation, man. Look, it's always a. I'm telling you, this is House of Cards, baby, NFL edition. House of Cards.
Rob says you guys are 7 and you're close. Man, you tell that guy he's full of shit. I love him. He's 7. Come on.
I love Rob, man. That's my guy.
Can I tell you who the Eagles are? The Eagles are the 76ers. They'll tease you to death.
Please.
Yeah.
Please don't get me started.
Hey, by the way, keep playing a guy wounded. Let me go.
Don't do it to me. Don't do it to me. You just almost set me up,
man. We do another 4 hours. Hey, man, thank you, Tone. Let's go.
Of course, man. Of course.
All right. Appreciate it there. That's my good friend, Tone. All right. We're going to get Philly 500 on with us, and 5:30 Eastern time, we will get him on. Hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.
Any professional sports coach will tell you there's no substitution for preparation. At Malamut & Associates, that is a tenet by which we live. We prepare from day one for victory. Anything less is not acceptable.
Underdog Fantasy has a way for you to play alongside your favorite football team all season long with their fantasy pick'em game. You pick between 2 to 5 players, select whether they'll go higher or lower on one of their stats, then do what you usually do on a Sunday, watch the games. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, and the Sports Betting Show wants you to get involved. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. When you sign up, use the promo code WIN, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big sales. By the way, Ron Jaworski will join us on Friday at 2:30 Eastern. We got a date with him. I absolutely am starting to like Mr. Pfizer even more now again. I do like Travis Kelce. And I admire Travis Kelce now. And it's not anything to do with his chick. Taylor Swift, I could care less. But I do have to say, what he did to that turd, Justin Tucker, is spectacular. So, as you know, kickers are not football players. They're appendages to teams. They're like an amoeba. You know that fish that's on the back of a shark? They just kind of go along with the shark. They're not really football players. They're kickers. I mean, shit, that's not a football player. He's a kicker. He doesn't tackle. And if he tries to tackle, he most of the time gets murdered. So he's not really a kicker or a player or a football player. He's just a dude, I guess. Okay? And he's on the team. So Justin Tucker breaks the golden rule. And I tell my daughter this, and I used to get so aggravated in her rugby games. There'd be a team like Fallbrook or some of these other big-time powerhouses like South Bay that would go on. See, you have a 50-yard line. You stay on that 50. You stay on that part of the 50. That's your 50. That's my 50. Now, this is an unwritten rule in football. Okay? You start jumping over there, you're going to get your ass kicked. And I'm going to be one of the first guys to do it. And I love Travis Kelce. Told that guy Justin Tucker, get your shit out of here, guy. You know, there's a whole football field on that side. You don't have to be over here. Get out of here. I'm surprised he didn't get punched in the head. He totally crossed the line. I'm going to give you a story here on what we did with Jerome Brown, your favorite Eagle. So we're in Norman, Oklahoma. And we're getting ready to play Oklahoma. Yale, you'll love this. We're getting ready to play Oklahoma. And you know that booner schooner thing that they have with the wagon? And like the cheerleaders are on the wagon and they go around Memorial Stadium. They got the horses and all that shit. Okay, and they got all that right. Okay, and you know they run around that thing. Have you seen the booner schooner thing? Okay, well, they drove that thing through our warm-ups once. And Jerome Brown stood up. They did it again. Jerome goes like this. You do that shit again, and we're going to flip that thing. There was like 10 people in this thing. Horses, too. This is Memorial Stadium, 87,000 ABC game. And we're sitting here, and everyone went like this. You fucking do that again. We're going to flip that damn thing. Sure enough, they brought that thing right through our workouts. We flipped that thing upside down. Cheerleaders are going everywhere. The horses stopped. We looked at the horses to make sure they were okay. We didn't give a shit about the people. And we flipped that thing upside down. Get the fuck out of here. That's how people take that. Jerome just flipped it. I mean, we come over there and he goes, come on, let's get it. 4 of us went up. We flipped this thing upside down. Even Barry Switzer laughed. Right there in Memorial Stadium. Then we went on to beat them 28-14. First time in 12 years they've been beaten in their home opener like that. Beat the piss out of them, and we broke Troy Aikman's leg. How you doing? We ruined your mascot. We flipped your booner schooner, and we broke Troy Aikman's leg. And we walked out of there kicking your ass. That's how you do shit. That's why no one liked us. That's why we had a crazy-ass attitude. And I loved what I saw. I'm watching this thing here, man. Those two guys were talking shit. And then I posted it on my Twitter page. I absolutely loved it, man. I absolutely loved it. He took the guys. And do you see even Patrick Mahomes got involved in it. Took the kick and tee, threw it over here. It was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. By the way, I posted something on our Twitter page that Jimmy was talking about our badass attitude. Dude, and he showed they singled me out. He was talking with Joe Buck. Joe Buck and him were doing an interview, Jimmy Johnson and Joe Buck. Joe's got a podcast show, and they pointed out Irvin, myself, and Jerome when it came to talking about the attitude of the Canes and the swagger back then. And put up with shit, dude. I'm a completely different guy today. I'm a nice guy. Back then, I wasn't. Like the guy you see now on TV, Jimmy Johnson, that's not really, my aunt will tell you, this isn't really the guy. My wife will tell you. This is not the guy I was back then. I'm a different dude. Jimmy is a completely different guy. You know, I think you guys got a chance to see a little bit of that when he had that little rant. Okay. Oh, hey, Barb, I like myself better today too. I absolutely do. I like myself better today. I didn't really like that guy. It's kind of like when Tyson talks about his past. You don't really like that guy because you're an asshole all the time. You really are. You're just an asshole. And it's not cool because you're mean and you're violent at times. It's not good. It's taken me 30 years to get to where I'm at now, where I'm not like that guy. You spend your whole life being that guy. It's not cool. I'm happy where I'm at. I'm happy my daughter pushes me around. I'm happy about that. More mature? I don't know about that one. Kyle goes, Sills, we're all stupid when we're young. Man, I wish I could take that statement and just change my whole life around again, man, because I would as a human. I was just a mean guy, man. Over the top mean. Mean. Really mean. Okay? Not to women. Okay? Not to animals. But to men, I was just completely an asshole. Ugh. In hockey, the tough guys hang out by the red line and chirp at the opponents when they skate by. Hockey's got that same thing too. Okay? Yeah, man. Hey, T Will goes, nah, you're still an asshole. Don't switch. Okay, fair enough. You guys, man, I'll tell you what. I love each and every single one of you. By the way, Philly 500 will join us at the bottom of the hour. We look forward to talking to him a little bit. We're going to reset a little bit here. Look, guys, I didn't realize that we were going to start something here a little bit here with A.J. Brown and all that. And like Tony and I were talking, nobody's talking about it. Dude, you talk about A.J. Brown being dealt because A.J. Brown brings a lot. Like Patrick Surtain, A.J. Brown. Yeah, dude, Patrick Surtain's the best lockdown corner in the league. Well, you're not going to get him with Quez Watkins. I think there's a rugby referee that disagrees. Yeah, I'll see him soon too. Trust me. I got something for him. Dirty D. I'm going to, because my wife coaches rugby. And we have to see that guy. My wife is projecting and predicting that I'll be thrown out of the game before the game starts. I have been tossed before because I told a referee I got $100 in my pocket. I'll give it to you if you make it fair. And the guy looked over at me and my wife goes, oh my God, this ain't good, man. It made me leave where I was sitting and I had to go up to the top. Hey, I got $100. I'll give it to you if you keep it fair. Oh, my God. I'm screaming this in a divisional game that my daughter's playing in high school at Rancho Bernardo. And the head of referee comes over and goes, Mr. Sileo, we can't have you, berating because it's not a good look for everyone when you're berating the refs. And he's right. It's not. And I've never hollered at a ref. But when it came to my daughter, this chick was just walking their team down, like throwing the game. And so I go like this. I go, hey. Oh, no, I was stopping my voice too. I was a maniac. I was an animal. And as Italians would say, I was an animal. I'm going like this. I go, hey. I took out the $100. I put it in the air. I go, I'll give you this. Keep it fair. Danielle comes up to me and goes like this when I did this last time. Dad, one of the people here said you're obnoxious. And I went, thank you. Thank you. Oh. So when you say mature, okay, mature, I don't know. Let's see, Sills, if the government could charge people for being assholes, the national debt would be paid off. Yes, it would, my friend. Yes, it would. Barb's like, don't worry. Don't believe me. My wife and I were both chirping. All right. want to get one more time here because I'm gonna get to AJ Brown. I have to say this though. Do you know what this week is? Because we're talking about Howie Roseman retooling your team, right? Yale, you'll love this, and a bunch of you will. You want to hear something here, Tone? Check it out. 50 years ago this week, the Pittsburgh Steelers, in one draft, in 1974, Chuck Noll and the Rooneys drafted in the first round Lynn Swann, Pro Football Hall of Famer. Jack Lambert, second round, Pro Football Hall of Famer. Fourth round, John Stallworth, Football Hall of Famer. Fifth round, Mike Webster, Football Hall of Famer, considered the greatest center of all time. They drafted 4 Hall of Famers in one draft. That's how you get it done. You want to build a team? You build it. Dude, what do we always say, Tone? Hey, I'm just looking for starters. They drafted 4 Hall of Famers. Swann was a Super Bowl MVP. Lambert was considered the best Mike linebacker in the game. Stallworth was the best number 2 wide receiver in the game. And Webster's the greatest center in the sport history. And they drafted him in one draft. That's Chuck Noll and the Steeler organization. That's getting it right. You have that same confidence how we get that right? How many people think Howie Roseman, and this is coming, how many draft picks do they have? What did I see, like 9? You think he'll draft 3 starters? You think he'll draft 3 starters in this upcoming draft? Yes or no? No. I'm awake, are you? Yes. He's my GM because he's always been able to draft starters. Really? He may trade a pick for a proven player. You know what pick I would trade? My first round pick. Hey, Denver. Here's a first round pick. A 2. No, that won't be enough to get Surtain. And what I don't know if Denver would trade that straight up because he's so young. How old is AJ? 26? That's not horribly old. But Surtain's like 23, 24, right? Would I trade Patrick Surtain for AJ Brown if I'm the Denver Broncos? Straight up. I don't know. I may not do that. I don't know. I might need something else. And I don't think Howie would give him something else because AJ's been so productive. Sending AJ to the AFC and then the Broncos with Russell Wilson might be a problem. That could be. But if I got a player back like Patrick Surtain, and by the way, once again, this is not an indictment on AJ. He's a good player. He's okay. Leadership-wise, he's not a headache. I'm not down on him. I don't want to get rid of him. But there's just too much work to do on your team. You see, some of you are blinded by the amount of work you have to do. You have to replace 9 players on defense. You have to figure out your right guard position. One thing I will agree with Jeff Kerr. Hey, man, DeAndre Swift is not a physical runner. He's a finesse runner. And that's why your running game went south in the second half of the season. Can the Eagles afford a player worth the first? What do you mean by that, D? I will never trade A.J. Brown. Thanks. That's why you'll be fired. Hey, don't worry, Nick. You'll be gone before he will. Don't worry, Nick. You're the first guy out the door, not AJ. Okay? You won't have to worry about it. Hey, Nick, if I were you, I'd start getting for sale signs ready. Okay? To start getting put out in front of the house. Because at the end of the day, people in Philly are going to start putting for sale signs in your front yard. You know how T.O. was doing push-ups? People are going to be putting for sale signs in front of your house in Philly. See this house? It's for sale. Well, wait a minute. The owner said it's not. No, it is. Trust me. He'll get the message. Be shit in the mailbox. Get out. Hey, can you see that, Tone? To be messages put in his mailbox. Hey, Nick. Like the guy who threw popcorn. Hey, Nick, you're done. Hey, Nick, you're done. That guy's, hey, that fan down at Raymond James down in Tampa, in my opinion, is the Philadelphia Eagle fan of the year. That dude's the fan of the year. And I want you guys, like I said, the problem that you have with Nick coming back is that now you're going to have guys in the locker room having to answer. Here, I wrote these coaches down. Here are the coaches that are going to be on the hot seat this year. And guess who's number one? Nick Sirianni. AJ was traded for a first-rounder. It cost us $25 million. Could we afford to pay another player that's worth a first-round pick? So you're talking about somebody on defense. Like who? What are you talking about here? A linebacker? It's a good question. No. Look at Callie Green lying again. Still said last year we couldn't pay Hurts. Oh, no. You paid him, and you robbed your defense to pay him. Right again. You're welcome, Callie Green. Oh, no, you paid Hurts at the expense of your defense. That's called problems with the curve. Oh, no. You paid him, and you robbed your defense. See? You're right, Callie. You did pay him. And your defense fell apart because you didn't retool it. Because you couldn't pay for backers and safeties, and you got no return on your investment in corners, and you had no depth at edge. Congratulations, you paid your quarterback. Oh, no. The Howie Roseman cap hits were phenomenal. But you robbed your defense. You robbed your defense, and your defense was 1-7. 150 yards rushing every week. 350 yards in the air. Most surrendered first down throws. Teams weren't even running the ball really anymore because they could complete passes on you on first and third down. It was a total shit show train wreck. Oh. You robbed your defense to pay your quarterback. Congratulations. And you paid corners that gave you shit. The slate wasn't horrible. Slate wasn't horrible. Philly 500 will join us. I wrote these 6 coaches down who I think are going to be on the hot seat. And I'm going to go from 6 up. I think Dennis Allen, New Orleans, that's John Gruden's job, especially if they hire him as OC after they got rid of Carmichael. Mike McCarthy will always be on this list because he works for Jerry Jones. I got him at 5. I got number 4, Matt Eberflus. How'd that guy survive in Chicago? So you're going to move off of Justin Fields and keep that guy? Okay, Chicago. I can't believe what a shitty organization the Chicago Bears are. Only way I'd trade AJ is if we could get a pick high enough to get Marvin Harrison. The second pick, which would solve the issue and give us more cap for the defense. So you're going to trade A.J. Brown to Arizona? Because I think Arizona's going to draft him for Murray. That's not bad, Dirty D. But you're going to trade A.J. Brown to Arizona? Be kind of a slap in the face for a guy that gave you 3,000 yards and 250 catches in 2 years. I mean, I don't know, man. It's pretty shitty to do something like that. But Harrison's probably going to go number 2. So you're going to have to get up to 2. Okay? You're going to have to get up there. Robert Saleh, I got number 3. I got McDermott, too. McDermott's got a win up in Buffalo. And I got, before I bring Philly 500 on, I got Philly 500's favorite bullshit artist, Nick Sirianni, number 1, when it comes to the hot seat in 24. And I'm going to start this out with how I was talking with Tone earlier, with my guy. And let's bring Philly 500 up. Brother, how you doing?
I'm hanging in there, man. How are you?
All right. Here's my problem with having Nick Sirianni in the building.
Okay.
I have a problem with him. Ready?
Yeah.
Early in the year, I don't want to hear this if they say they lose to the Giants or something or Dallas. And the first question in the locker room is, hey, what about your coach being on the hot seat? What about your coach fighting for his job? Philly, that's something I don't want to have to deal with. Like extra noise BS. That's my problem. Either cut loose or don't cut loose with this thing here. That's the problem that I have with him in the building.
I totally 100% agree. That's why I would have cleaned house. I've said this before. I don't know how he makes it through the year. Like to have the epic historical collapse that you just did, and then to bring him back, to me, just means more of the same old stuff. You're going to just keep doing what you've been doing. And I don't know if this guy could get the locker room back. I mean, we're going to find out. But I agree. It's going to be asked every game. Every time if they lose, it's going to be asked. If they struggle, it's going to be asked. It's going to be all they talk about during training camp. Yeah, it's going to be there constantly.
What's your takeaways on the 2 new coordinators, Kellen Moore offensively and Vic Fangio over on defense?
Not my first choice. I probably would have liked to see it go a different way. But I say this. I like that if you're going to run a Vic Fangio system, have it be Vic Fangio that's going to run it. And then as far as Kellen Moore goes, I truly believe he's not as bad as Cowboy fans like to say. I think this is a guy that was a scapegoat for the Cowboy fans and the front office for years. They blame him for the fact that their coach is a choker and that their quarterback is a choker. I thought that Kellen Moore sounds like the perfect Eagle hire. This is a team that does not want to run the ball, and he doesn't run the ball a lot, and they like to throw. And the one thing I'll say about Kellen Moore, and you talk about Dallas Cowboys and Dak and the season he had. I thought the season a few years ago when he had CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Cedric Wilson, Gallup, I thought that was their best offense. And if he can do that with what we have, I think we'll be okay.
Let me throw the topic questions of the show at you here. Do you think that this is a complete rebuild that we're talking about with the Eagles?
No, this is not a rebuild at all. To me, the idea of a rebuild went out the window when you brought Nick Sirianni back. How can you be in a rebuild with a coach that is 2-3 games away from getting fired? You have 2 experienced head defensive coordinator, offensive coordinators coming in. Well, Fangio's 60-something years old. He's not coming in for a rebuild. Kellen Moore's 6 years. He probably wants to be a head coach sometime. He's not coming in for a rebuild. The coaches that they've put into place, even the defensive line coach, even, these are former defensive coordinators. This isn't a rebuild. If they're rebuilding, you've got to fire the coach. So to me, no, rebuild, that's not their plan.
You know what? I love what you just said. You gave that football team a backhanded slap, which is a brilliant way of how you put it out there, because you're saying they're going to wallow in their own shit again for another year until they decide to right the ship, because the head coach has been brought back. So we're pretty much going to see the same as we saw last year, because, again, Howie doesn't believe there's an issue with the linebacking core. He doesn't believe that it's a talent issue, and it is on that side of the ball. And you're going to have a guy who's going to run less. So you're actually turning the offense and filling into a finesse team, and getting away from the power running team. You're getting further away from 22 with these new coordinators. You understand that?
Yeah. And, well, I mean, we'll see what Kellen Moore does. I'm curious because I don't think he's as bad as the rap is. I actually don't think it's necessarily a bad. I really don't have a problem with either of those guys. I prefer like a whole different defensive scheme, but I think that they got experienced coaches because they feel that they have the talent to win. So I expect them to retool. I think you're going to see a very active free agency. I think Howie's going to bring in a lot of guys, and I think there's going to be a couple big moves. I think they're going to go and double down and try to go back to where they were a few years ago.
How about this one? What do you think Jalen Hurts' ceiling is?
I think Jalen Hurts can be a perennial all-pro type quarterback who can win a Super Bowl if given the opportunity and the right weapons around him. But I think you have to build around. Right. And I think what you had last year was you had really bad coaching. I mean, you had a historical collapse, and I believe that was linked to the coaching staff, especially offensively. So, defensively too, for that matter. But to me, the issues last year were not the players and their talent. I think they got to 10-1 because of their talent. The issues have always been the coach and the coaching staff. That was the big issue last year.
Let me ask you this then, okay? What more does he need? You have one guy you're paying $25 million in wide receiver. The other guy's a first rounder, is going to get huge money. Tight end's making huge money. Both your tackles are making huge money. Mm-hmm. Quarterback makes huge money. Shit, Landon Dickerson's going to make $20 million here real soon because he's going to be top-end guy. You're going to have to pay that guy a boatload. My question to you is, when does it get to a point where you start looking at Jalen Hurts' $50 million and go, well, is he ever going to be something like Mahomes? And where I went earlier with Tone is this. Don't you think it's counterproductive to keep looking for the Patrick Mahomes in a haystack versus doing what the 49ers did by getting a guy who makes $870,000 a year, building up your roster and getting a complete roster build and a facelift in your roster where you're building a gigantic roster up like the Patriots did and like Kansas City's doing, searching for Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady? To me, I'll say this. If I'm not giving Jalen Hurts another contract if he doesn't deliver a Super Bowl, why would I give I'm not giving that. Would you pay Dak Prescott, Philly, $60 million this offseason?
No, but
okay, well, when does it get to a point with Jalen? Do you think Jalen Hurts could take that Chiefs team and win a Super Bowl with the current talent on it? No. I don't.
No, I think Patrick Mahomes is far and above better than everybody else
Okay,
out
you're
in the
right.
league.
Okay, so Philly is a lot like San Francisco. The only difference, you're
Well,
paying $50 million for that guy. You're paying $870,000
yeah, yes,
for that.
yes, and no. There are two big things I think that we're missing here. One, I believe Jalen Hurts, and I think you would have said this last year. If he has time at the end of that Super Bowl, he's going down and winning it. I believe Jalen Hurts has the mental fortitude. I believe he is the good enough player. He is good enough to win games, big games. I think he can win you. Dak Prescott cannot win you. He comes up small in big games. You put Jalen Hurts in those positions, I think he wins. But he also needs good coaching. You also need coaches that put your players in a position to win. You need coaches that say, we're going to do what's right for the team and we're going to build around the talent instead of forcing things that aren't there. The 49ers have Shanahan. And then the other thing that the Eagles and Jalen Hurts are missing is that you have a team that drafted Deebo Samuel, that drafted Brandon Ayuk. They drafted these guys. They do great in the draft. We don't. So what do we have to do is we have to go spend resources on guys like A.J. Brown and trade for them because we can't draft in-house. Those are the three problems. If you fix those problems, in my opinion, Jalen Hurts will win you a Super Bowl. That's just what I think.
I love it. Very good. Very good. How about this one? We started something a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to keep addressing it with you about the potential on trading A.J. Brown. Now, hear me out. Okay? Kansas City trades A.J. Brown or Tyreek Hill. The Green Bay Packers trade Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers, and they're trending up. Mm-hmm. And you've got a young group of quarterback up there that Jordan Love looks like he's heading in the right direction. My point is, you took some of those assets and you built your defense and your old lineup, and you built that side of the ball. Kansas City's in the Super Bowl because of two things, Philly. Pacheco and their defense. And, of course, Reed, and there's Mahomes.
Right.
You've got so many holes you're going to have to replace 9 guys on defense. That secondary's trash. Your linebackers are horrible. You need depth edge.
Right.
And you're right about one thing. Do you trust Howie if you gave him draft equity to retool it when he doesn't draft well at linebacker and he doesn't draft well at corner? Maybe you package this up. Trade A.J. Brown to the Denver Broncos straight up for Patrick Surtain, the best lockdown corner in the league. He's 24. Mm-hmm. What is he? Hey, look, A.J. had career years the last 2 years. Where's it gotten you? You don't have anything to show for it.
Mm-hmm. I think that this is a conversation that you could have maybe in 2 years. I don't.
2 years is too late. You'll never get a one for him.
I don't think it can happen. One, I don't think they'll trade Surtain. I think the only way they said that they would trade Surtain is if it's involving a quarterback. Number two, I mean, to me, once you bring back Nick Sirianni and stuff, you've already forced your hand. You're now in win mode. Now you're in win now mode. And the Eagles, they love their offense. They're not going to take weapons away and replace it on another side of the ball. Like, the idea is to keep the players that you have that are good and add to it. I don't think it'll work. I don't think they would do it.
Well, where are you going with this? That team's going to win 5 to 8 games this year, and you're going to have another career year with A.J. Brown and nothing. What's it got you except this? $60 million of money you could have spent on your defense.
Okay, so you could go out, you could get Patrick Surtain, and then you'll have Devontae Smith and who?
Well, so then that means you don't believe in Hurts because
I think
wait a minute. Well, wait a minute. You don't believe. Well, then eventually the quarterback has got to carry the team, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, but you have
that's what they did in Kansas City. Philly, they got rid of the best deep threat in NFL history, and they're in their second Super Bowl going for 2 in a row.
But you're talking about one of the greatest
Okay,
coaches
well then
and
he's not
greatest
a
quarterbacks.
$50 million a year guy.
Well, I mean, that's fair. That's fair to say. But to me, I don't think you can not give Jalen Hurts weapons at this point. I think he has to have weapons. And until maybe 2-3 years down the road, that won't be the case. I don't think that A.J. Brown's going to be able to stay long term. I don't think we're dealing with 3-4 years of A.J. Brown, because you're going to have to pay Devontae Smith. At some point, you have to break it up. But to bring back Nick Sirianni, to do everything they're doing.
You think the whole
right now,
problem is Sirianni coming back?
I think that establishes everything that they're going to do this season. I think once they made the decision on Sirianni, it tells us this is not, it tells us where they're going. I can't even entertain a rebuild because of who the coach is. Now, if we had an all new coaching staff, I would be open to all that. You want to get draft picks, you want to retool, rebuild, whatever. But as soon as Nick Sirianni comes back, a guy who you even said is on the hot seat more than anybody, well, you gotta retool. You can't. You're not in rebuild mode. You're in trying to salvage this thing. He's trying to save his job, and the Eagles are trying to get back to where they were. And it might fail epically. You're right. It might fail epically. But that's the decision that they've made. So I don't see how they could afford to get rid of A.J. Brown this year, and then to get him and swap him for Patrick Surtain, to me, is you're just moving your talent around. This team has got to add to what they already have.
What about the reports coming out of Boston, and a guy that I respect a lot? By the way, he blocks me on Twitter because me and him have gone back and forth. Greg Bibard, who's up there with the Boston Sports Journal, he used to work for Sports Illustrated, and he's a Hall of Fame voter. And me and him, when I was on the air in Boston at EEI, we used to go back and forth, and I couldn't stand it. He can't stand me. However, I respect his work. He said that the Philadelphia Eagles had reached out to Belichick. And by the way, it wasn't just the Eagles. It was also the Cowboys that expressed interest in having Belichick as the head coach. What'd you make of that?
I don't buy it. I don't, and not. I don't buy it. Not because
it says he's still a candidate for 24.
But here's the thing. Can you imagine? And I would pay to see this on pay-per-view. Imagine draft night, the war room for the Eagles, and Bill Belichick says, "I really need this linebacker," and Howie Roseman says, "No, I calculated the calculations. We're not going to do that. We're going to do this." I can't see it working. I can't see Bill Belichick and Howie Roseman working in that way, because Bill Belichick is going to want complete control. So unless they're willing to throw Howie in the boiler room again, I can't see it. But
by the way, as Yale said,
but let's say they did do it, Sills, right? What does that tell you? It tells you that they're not rebuilding, because here's another guy that's been 70 years old or something. He doesn't have time for a rebuild. So to me, all the things we're hearing are this team is gearing up to try to go back to the Super Bowl.
So again, here, just like Yale said, Greg is standing by his reporting. He says he's going to be the top candidate for the Eagles in 2024. He's the top candidate to replace Nick Sirianni in 2024 as Bill Belichick.
Then I assume Howie's going too, because
why wouldn't he go? It's about time.
Well, I understand that, but it's hard for I believe that there's secret photos or something that Howie has on Jeffrey Lewis. I'm telling you, they were in a bar in Mexico or something like that, and something happened because I've never seen a guy with so many lives. I mean, it is a guy that has been through a lot of different.
Did you say lives or lies?
Lives. So I want to know what the photos are
for you here. Are you confident that he is going to do a good job? How many people with his, I think 9 picks, are you looking at this draft being one of the most important drafts? Because if they are, like you said, they believe in win now, you've got to get some starters in here. on defense. They've got to
Yeah.
get some starters.
Yeah, I agree. I mean that's what they're telling me. I believe with keeping Nick Sirianni, so they're going to have to. I think it's always scary when Howie drafts. Let's just be honest. I mean he's had some better drafts, but it's a very scary thing. And one of the things the Eagles seem like they don't like to do a lot of times is let these young rookie guys play enough. I thought Sidney Brown should have played more. I thought Noel Smith could have. Why does it take these guys so long to play? So the draft is important, but I think you're going to see a very active free agency period too. I think the Eagles will be. It's going to be entertaining to say the least.
I got something here for you. And I know what the dirt is on what Roseman has on Jeffrey
What
Lurie.
is it?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
He's got photos of him. Like I'm taking some from one of the guys. They got photos of him on Epstein Island.
That's what I'm saying. It's got to be something like that. That's probably what it is. Because he survived a lot of different things, man. He really has. And Howie, I will say this. When Howie has been aggressive the last few times, like really aggressive, the Eagles have had pretty good seasons. They won a Super Bowl. Then they went back to one. So, I mean, it can work out. But this team, in my opinion, based on what we saw just from the coaching hiring, this is a team that is looking at retooling, not rebuilding.
Okay, finally here then. So you think this team is a what-win team? 9, 10, 11, 12?
As of right now,
Yeah.
where we're at today, I'll say 10.
So it's a 10-6 football team.
10 right now with and it could go either way drastically depending upon how the all season goes. So, but I would
Are
say
the Packers better?
No.
Are the Cowboys better?
No. I will never give you that. I will
You're
never
not
give you that.
You're not going to give me. Are the Lions better?
Yeah.
49ers, right?
Yeah.
Are the Rams?
No.
Are the Bucks?
No.
So you think they're the third best team in the NFC?
Third or fourth. Yeah. But I think there's a gap between 1 and 2, and I think there's a fall off.
Oh yeah. The fourth team in the NFC is closer to the second team than the first team is to the second team, the Niners.
Right.
You're right. I think there's a pretty good gap there. Well, I'll tell you what, man. Awesome stuff as always.
Thank you, man.
You kicked ass today. Way to go, my friend.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you, man.
Got it. Make sure you check out my friend's podcast. It's absolutely sensational. He's great at it. He's great at what he does. We are so loving that he comes on the program with us. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you, my man. Take care.
You got it. Philly 500. Hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.
Any professional sports coach will tell you there's no substitution for preparation. At Malamut & Associates, that is a tenet by which we live. We prepare from day one for victory. Anything less is not acceptable.
Underdog Fantasy has a way for you to play alongside your favorite football team all season long with their fantasy pick'em game. You pick between 2 to 5 players, select whether they'll go higher or lower on one of their stats, then do what you usually do on a Sunday, watch the games. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, and the Sports Betting Show wants you to get involved. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. When you sign up, use the promo code WIN, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Look at this delusional Eagle fan, Des. Julio said 5-win team with as much talent as we have. Where is your talent? Let's put what Des is saying here in proper perspective. Hey, Des. A.J. Brown, career year. Devontae Smith, in many categories, career year. Jalen Hurts, outside the turnovers, career year. You have 5 Pro Bowlers, now 6 in your O-line, and you were 1-7. Where's your talent again? What are you talking about? Now that Jalen Hurts has been named to the Pro Bowl, we can do this respectedly. Landon Dickerson, Jason Kelsey, Lane Johnson, A.J. Brown, DeAndre Swift, and Jalen Hurts. You got 6 Pro Bowlers of your 11 starters, and you were 1-7. Where's your talent? 1-7. Where's your talent? Six Pro Bowlers. Where's your talent? What did it get you? It got you destroyed by the Bucs. All saying, this guy doesn't want to admit that he was 1-7 down the stretch. He doesn't want to admit it, that they were 1-7 down the stretch. And his team was destroyed by the Bucs in the playoffs. Not really much to say. Hey, you guys can get mad at me all you want. Your fucking team fell on its face, and you brought back a clown coach. I can't wait to watch. This is wonderful. This is fantastic. Dude, Tone's right about one thing. Hurts is the furthest from your problems. He really is. But he's getting engulfed in all of this. It's like a conveyor belt of shit. That's what it is. Damn. Right? Watch this. Do you think Jalen Hurts will win a Super Bowl? Maybe. Do you think Nick Sirianni will win a Super Bowl? Never. Never. He was 3. No, he wasn't. Jalen was 3 points from a Super Bowl. Just like Doug was 3 points. Just like Doug won the Super Bowl in 2017. Yeah. How you doing? Damn good. As always, entertaining, enlightening, truth, justice, and the Big Sills way. Always here. That's how we do it. Look at my... I love Tone. He is becoming, and I'm going to send Angelo, he is becoming a protege of ours. And I want you to know Angelo is very proud of you too. Because Tone's got a puss on his face now. The only thing I'm going to tell you, Tone, is that you're going to be a miserable son of a bitch. Okay? That's all I'm going to say to you, is that you're always going to be miserable, man. And you're never going to be happy. When you're honest, you're never miserable. Oh, my God. I love him, man. Guys, I really do appreciate you guys coming aboard. Please hit the like button. 2 to 6 tomorrow. Xander, Big Joe, we thank you. Tone, love you, brother. We will catch you on the flip side.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.